Okay, good evening, everyone. We should be ready to go in a minute. And then my stream suddenly seemed to die. What's going on here? Hey, Olaf. Thank you very much for hanging out. Again, I think especially given that I know the context of my later starts, the fact that you are in here so early it really says a lot. So thank you. I don't want to, give this baroque thank you every single time I see you. But insofar as I kind of control the start time and the fact that you've been far more consistent than me, it's one of those things that I really want to mark. I hope you're all doing well. I'm going to try and be a bit disciplined in terms of my streaming time tonight. And this is just because I've got my biggest, tasks for the end of the fiscal year are done. But I'm also just over the horizon of like being able to get a bunch of stuff that I wanted to have done, where there wasn't a very definitive sort of end time. I'm close to that, and if I have like just a couple of good days, where I'm sort of switched on and working my best, I feel like I'll do well. Now, I'm pretty strict about trying not to let work stuff creep into my my day-to-day life. But on the other hand, you have a better day at work if you get a proper night's sleep and stuff like that. So I'll still do a full stream, assuming nothing too crazy happens or I'm feeling up to it. But I may be a little more reluctant to go into the really deep hours of the night. But I hope you're all doing well. I'll just get a quick. There's two things I'll get out of the way, because one, especially if I've had like a bit of time away from Stellaris. Not that I've had like a huge time away from Stellaris, but occasionally I will slip up on the disclosures and not mention them until after a period of time. And I mean, I think I have roughly an idea of the people who like kind of watch and then go away. And the thing is that these are people who are probably not going to wind up going out and buying Stellaris as a result of that. But it's good to be kind of conspicuous and upfront about that sort of stuff. So with that in mind, I am playing a copy of Stellaris as well as all of the DLC that I'm playing. They're given to me from Paradox Development Studio for the purposes of promotion. The exceptions to this would be the Planetoids and Humanoids DLC, which I did buy on my own. And then I am not currently playing the Aquatics and the Necroids DLC. I wasn't given those for promotional purposes, and I've not bought them. I may buy them, but we'll see. I will confess, as a whole, I think Stellaris probably has one of the better ratios in terms of sort of price to value. And I will go so far as to say is I don't think that's true for all the Paradox games. So it's one of those ones where even things like Species Packs, which I realize probably don't have quite the same uptake as some of the other ones, those are actually ones that I'm a bit more likely to consider. But the disclosure's out of the way. I did also just want to give a quick idea about where the stream's sitting, because there have been a couple of changes to the overall format, and I just want to give people kind of an idea of what's going on. So Twitch is still my primary platform, and Mondays will always be sort of a strategy game. Traditionally, it's been sort of reserved for Paradox. Now, obviously, the number of games that I've gotten a key for has sort of been reduced. Part of that, I think, is just due to the size of the channel, and obviously that is kind of up to a developer to decide whether or not it's worth it for them, and whether or not this is in line with their plans. So that is not a boycott Paradox because they're mean to me kind of a statement. It's just a simple statement of fact. There were some things I was planning on doing and ultimately did not, specifically because of the key thing. Stellaris has been one of those ones that has, to their credit, I actually had a really nice exchange with the individual, and they sort of pointed out sort of the long history with the game, and I'm personally very happy to kind of be able to continue on with that. But with that in mind, that is the only reason why it's not an exclusively Paradox game day on Monday anymore. I do actually tend to find that there's sometimes a benefit in taking a little time away from Paradox rather than Stellaris, rather than just crashing into sort of session after session. It's just something that kind of keeps me a bit more fresh. I do lose a little bit of my skill at the game doing that, but I think as a whole, it's actually something that I personally see some benefit in, because it's sometimes nice to just see a game with fresh eyes. The reason I mention that is just, again, it's to clarify that when you're doing multiple Paradox games, it's kind of easy to move from game to game and sort of say, okay, yeah, this is, we'll move on to, game X instead. Whereas here, it might make sense to go into something like Industries of Titan or Phantom Brigade or XCOM, or, in this case, opening those Mondays up for strategy is generally a good idea, in my opinion, at least. Now, Tuesday, there used to be a pre-recorded video for the Elder Scrolls series. Now, I have completed Oblivion, including its DLC. I actually tremendously enjoyed the Shivering Isles. I thought that was a truly exceptional bit of DLC. But in this case, because there are no more episodes for that, the story's done, there's no pre-recorded video for that. And I'm actually kind of interested in seeing what happens to the channel overall, because I've had a suspicion for a while that because Twitch is taking into account the overall performance of the channel and the VODs get a significantly lower viewership than regular broadcasts, I have a feeling that it sort of had a negative reinforcement loop, a little bit less attention to the channel, and as a consequence, I kind of keep moving down the ranks. Now, I make it the kind of a certain path dependency on this here, right? So I might already be in that valley, but I am a little interested in seeing what happens to the channel when I'm just back to doing live content. I don't necessarily, I'm not going to like completely convert the format or anything along those lines, but just as a heads up, because I don't have anything to show for those pre-recorded episodes anyway, Tuesdays will probably not have any, at least pre-recorded content for me for a while. But I am planning on doing some more VOD stuff, and that will all be posted on YouTube along with the archives here. There are several Cultist Simulator playthroughs going on. For those of you unfamiliar with Cultist Simulator, the author of the Horizon Signal has a game that they produced on their own under the company Weather Factory called Cultist Simulator, and it is certainly the only thing that people really watch on YouTube, it feels like. Well, that's not true. If you're watching on YouTube, obviously you're watching Stellaris. But that's going to be the home for most of my VOD stuff, and I am going to be doing a few more, especially with Industries of Titan. But I don't think I'm going to be putting those on Twitch anymore. And then on Fridays, we have been slowly building towards the final encounter in Darkest Dungeon. We might be able to hit it next Friday, but once that happens, we'll have a free game here, and that means I'll either, tie off some loose ends on other games, or possibly just start another one. Like I said, I'm closing in on some stuff that I started and have wanted to finish for a while. Anyways, that's a really long way of just letting people know the state of things. For the most part, if you watch the channel regularly, there's not too much of a change-up, but it feels like a good time to just remind people about some things that you might have gotten used to that are changing around a bit. Also, I'm warmed up enough that I'm going to be able to handle some of the nonsense going on in my empire. So one thing I suppose I should be considering are these ascension tiers. Now, I'm getting a bit of a handle on the change with Unity, because Unity is useful for so many things. So for instance, one thing I'm struggling with is my empire size. In this case, I've got a plus 75% sort of increase to technology costs and tradition adoption. If I can shrink that number, then that's going to mean that I can research technologies and get traditions faster. Alternatively, I can just try and outproduce those penalties and then, generate a lot of science, generate a lot of Unity, and work around that way. Now, the things that I can use Unity for there's a few things that I can spend to use with Unity. For instance, edicts now have a Unity cost, and I believe it is a monthly upkeep as opposed to just sort of a one-off cost. In addition, if I want to use one of my relics, those now cost Unity instead of artifacts. And then, of course, the traditional use, so to speak, getting the traditions, at my current rate, it takes 63 months to complete Domination. And obviously, completing Domination is something of a high priority given the given the fact that we'll be completing a line. I do eventually need to figure out my Ascension perks. There is a small argument for a higher starbase capacity, given that my borders are going to be expanding a bit. Becoming the Crisis is kind of funny. I mean, one thing I could attempt would be to become cybernetic. Eternal Vigilance is actually also kind of tempting. Yeah, there's actually a few... there's a few options. Become the Crisis is definitely a very tempting one. But I kind of like the idea of trying to let the Natraxian runners become, a huge diplomatic heavyweight. So I already have Voidborn. I mean, there might be some benefits that we get from this anyway, but I really don't quite feel... Yeah. So Galactic Contender, Eternal Vigilance, Grasp the Void... The Flesh is Weak is one I would consider. I mean, I suppose I could also try Engineered Evolution, but there's something about the Flesh is Weak that feels a little more appropriate for this run. But one of the reasons I want to talk about this is I really feel with the changes to Unity that there is room for an Empire-size Ascension perk. I really feel like that's something that the game could benefit from. Because, like, the thing is, right, you've got, like, a lot of these are really... useful and interesting, but given the way that Unity works right now, like being able, so you've got a total of 8 Ascension perks, and these, like, you can't change them, right? You're making a pretty significant choice on this. So in one sense, you'd say it's like, well, if you do that, then it becomes essential, and it's like, well, no, it really isn't, because you get, if you're somebody who can actually get a handle on Empire size, then you are, one Ascension perk up on your opponents. And that to me seems to be a pretty decent little buff. But I don't know though. Obviously the people making this game are quite a bit smarter than I am in terms of how it works. But that's one thing I'm considering, or one thing I would personally consider. I suspect probably with modding you'd be able to do something like that, but yeah, my big decision right now is, so I guess the first thing I would say, it's like, okay, so what I would probably like to increase the starbase capacity. Is this something that I want to do right now? Is this something that I should consider as far as the... is this something I should consider in terms of a perk that I should take on, sort of knowing that in 63 months I'm going to be able to get my next level of domination? Well, what does that get me? One, I'm back in compliance on my starbase capacity. So my starbase upkeep has, its reduction in terms, so I'm not paying as much in terms of my upkeep. Now, the biggest benefit here would be in terms of my alloys. Interesting. So it doesn't seem like there's unless it counts under buildings. So is it really just... Interesting. So if it's just energy credits, I'm ignoring that cost because we're making money hand over fist. So in that case, you could say, yeah, it'd be nice to get my starbase capacity where it needs to be, but clearly I'm at a point where I don't need to worry so much about the, the dollar value in terms of the in terms of the costs. What about some of the other considerations? Well, the flesh is weak is just one of these things where I would, this is more about gaining some individual perks for my species. So maybe I'd just leave that on its own for a bit. I think I said Eternal Vigilance, which would give me the bonuses towards Starbase damage and such. Now that's a pretty strong art. That has a very immediate benefit in terms of terminal egress. That is actually one where there is something of an argument for it. Galactic Contender, I'm already sort of falling behind in terms of the overall diplomatic weight. So I'm going to say that that's maybe a little bit less important. But yeah, for now I think I'm just going to sit on. This. Now, let's just get an idea of where my fleets are at. Oh, that's right. I'm just going to go get something to write on. I'm going to be back in a sec. Okay, sorry about that. I know this is a slow start, but I'm gonna sort of explain why I want to be careful in terms of these next few turns. I've got a couple of things to adjust on my tablet before I. Okay. So I don't think any of these are the perfect pattern. Yeah, we're still missing. So our default right now has been 4 battleships, 7 carrier. I guess, is it cruiser or carrier? Cruiser. $13 destroyers and 24. And if memory serves, the effort here was to try and spend the even amount on each component. So I think cruisers are 4, right? Spending 28 on those. Battleships, they're 8, I think. Yeah. So with that loadout, well, actually, you know what? The fleet manager makes this a little easier. So in theory, if we wanted to bring this up, so we would bring this to 32 used. Does that quite make sense? I think that's too many corvettes. $34 corvettes, 32 on destroyers. Mind you, I don't hate that because it's the little ones that are really really putting in the work for us. Okay, so actually with that in mind, I'm going to mess around a little bit with the numbers here. So I'm going to sort of plunder a few ships from my lesser fleets, and then we'll build in. So I want to have sort of like, actually, you know what? I'm not quite going to do that yet. Because I think having a little bit better distribution in terms of my ships might help me out here. Okay, so originally I wanted to build towards, you know, an additional full fleet, but I think probably at this point I want to be doing some reinforcements. So, with that in mind, the new pattern is 4, 8, 16, 34. That 34 really does a number on my head. It's the right call, though. Okay, so with that in mind, I need to add 1 cruiser for each fleet, 3 destroyers, and then 10 corvettes. Okay, so with that in mind, I have got 1, 2, 3 full fleets, so that's going to mean 3 cruisers, 9 destroyers, and 30 corvettes, after which we go back on track to build the full fleet. Again, probably a little bit more babbling than I needed to do on that issue, but sometimes it helps to reason it out. I don't want to spend too much money on this, but we'll buy 2 batches of alloys. I kind of wanted to get the cruisers at least underway. Okay, so that's the Navy, not sorted, but at least we've got some plans for them. The last thing that I need to do is figure out what I want to do with my population here. So we've got so ideally my lithoid would be going on to a tech world. Well, we've already got people on a tech world, actually. Calsont, I think, already has... No, interesting. Okay. So let's start with Kefroth. So this is going to be a little weird, but I've got New Bale working as clerks. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. In fact, as technicians, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense either. I mean, at this point, it's just money, so... Okay, so what we're going to do here is Okay, it looks like we're full up on farmers now. So I'll start by giving him a robot. Okay, so it says here I've got 3 jobs available. Let's see if that's actually true. Okay. So what's the situation on Nadal? I guess the first question is there anything else that I can build on here? And unless I can convert one of these things into a city district, I can't really add any more research labs. So let's say there's nothing else we can do right now. Okay, so we've got enforcers that we can... Okay, yeah, this makes sense. But then surely I can... Yeah. I think Vault of Acquisitions is something that will let me produce more Unity. And I swear I could have built a like an art monument or something. I'll keep that to myself though. Okay, so the real question here is just where are all the jobs? So Zygar, Okay, now here's the thing about Zygars. There's actually better species for the mining jobs. So I actually think probably colonizing Nadal, or moving the people from Nadal is the better call here. Okay, so that's the populations dealt with. Now again, I was a little surprised to find out that you can't build more than one like alloy and consumer goods building. But this might be something of a mixed blessing, because what that means is that I can now work towards building other things that I sort of need. So for instance, if I take a look at my sort of monthly trades and all of that, right now we have a deficit as far as the crystals are concerned. So, you know, on this industrial world, if I really can't build any more factories dedicated towards consumer goods or alloys, why not produce some additional crystals, right? Synthetic crystals. I don't think it's going to apply. Yeah, it's not going to apply for the Ministry of Production. But again, I'm not really doing anything else with this place right now, so I might as well, take advantage of it. I don't know what I'll do with the 2 remaining slots here, so I'm just going to keep that on its own. Now, for this agri-world, I think we've pretty much exhausted all of our agricultural options here. I mean, we can keep building hydroponics farms, but we're currently selling the surplus of food at the moment, so that feels like a bit of a waste. Now, one thing I could do would just be to build civilian industries, so that'll help me plug up the gap that I've got in terms of my... Actually, that's probably the right call. I mean, the alternative would be to do some more refining operations, but I actually think consumer goods is slightly more important. The other alternative would be something like the military academy, because in this case it would help with things like naval capacity. I need to think a little bit about how I feel about that. But for the time being, I think... Actually, another temptation would be the planetary shield generator, just because, again, that you never think that you're going to be invaded, but you probably should prepare. Actually, I guess the other thing would be hollow theaters. This was always good for growth. Okay, I'll start with that. I may actually wind up converting a few of these buildings. Yeah, that's one thing I've been overlooking on a lot of these planets, actually. So let's maybe get those hollow theaters down. I think I might have hesitated to add them because of the consumer goods cost. All right, that's where the Ministry of Culture went. I'm debating between another research lab or a... No, actually, in this case, the research lab makes more sense. Okay, a little bit more of a digression than I was planning on, but I think that was a good use of the time. Okay, now let's talk about the problem I'm trying to solve in today's playthrough. So we've got the terminal egress. Now, it's a double-edged sword in terms of claiming this thing. The primary benefit is that, at one point... Okay, so either Grey Tempest is going to be defeated or the galaxy is going to be overrun. So, I should... It's safe to assume that the Grey Tempest will be defeated, because, of course, the alternative is a playthrough which I'm not involved in. But there are quite a few steps that need to be taken before that wonderful day arrives. And one of the big considerations is that you basically need to go. There's a zone. I'm almost certain it's going to be in here. That's generating all the new Grey Tempest chips. Now, the challenge that we ran into the last time that we tried to get the terminal egress was we could claim the system. In fact, as it is right now, we need to send our ships out to claim the remaining territories. I'm a little surprised they're not doing that right now. Maybe it's because I spent all the alloys. Either way, we'll grab this as soon as we can. But yeah, basically, it's good that we grab this because this kind of keeps us... Like, this is the only spot where you can enter the L cluster, and it gives us access to basically everything else in the galaxy. The bad news is that the Grey Tempest is inevitably going to come into conflict with us. So, you know, we can build a base here, you know, that's all well and good, but we actually also need to hold it. And that's considerably more difficult. And so what we need to do right now, most of my alloys actually need to be spent on building this thing up to a citadel, or as close to a citadel as I can get it. I might be short one of the technologies. And then to also build defensive buildings around it. Now, as we keep popping the enemy, the Grey Tempest fleets, the intensity of the attacks will sort of wane for a little bit, but then a next batch will be generated, and we better hope that we're able to defend it. So the problem here is that the last time we tried to do this, the waves just kept coming and coming, and we sort of got, you know, the attrition on the ships. As you'll notice, we're not at our fleet cap anymore on any of these fleets. So the attrition definitely wore us down. Now, the good news is that we actually have something that we are repairing at. And in fact, I think we'll have a shipyard to start building some more ships out of reasonably soon as well. But we have our work cut out for ourselves, basically. There's quite a bit of danger in this position, but of course the rewards are massive. Like, if we can really harden this position to a point where I feel we're secure enough to go hunting for the Grey Tempest, then effectively at our leisure we can start moving into these systems, exploring them, claiming them, and ultimately move towards our goal. But the one thing I can't afford to do is have my fleets wiped out like last time. We came back from that once, but if that happens a second time, we're in quite a bit of trouble because we've spent a lot of resources to try and achieve this. So, with all of that in mind, I'm not going to generate any more alloys talking, so we will unpause and see what the future holds.
Planetary exploitation forecast complete.
Okay, so this is... Okay, they're all joining the system, but we don't quite know.
We built something.
Okay, what I think I'm going to do is I'll just combine them with the... Through hard work and experience, scientist Loxodol has developed new skills.
Boom! We built something.
Okay, I believe we got our starbase back. Yep. So we can also explore we can exploit the dark matter, which is good news. Now, I would like to upgrade these fleets as well, but again, we need the port to be able to do that. So we're just going to sit in position for the next little while. Okay, I first want to make sure that these numbers make sense, because I feel like they don't. Okay, I've got 2 more corvettes than I needed. So we'll just move them down the queue.
Station under attack.
Oh. Alright, that's inconvenient. This is actually going to require... Yeah, so this is 14 corvettes. This is actually something I kind of need to take seriously, and I can't just send the battleships off to get. So, the unprotected trade route that passes through the Sidar system has attracted the attention of a roving band of pirates. These outlaws have gathered a sizable fleet that is intercepting much of the system's trade. It must be dealt with. So, we know we're going to lose that no matter what. I think what we'll do here is we'll take this fleet, which isn't really active in the... Ooh, Tempest Shoal... I think they're focusing on my allies right now. So of course this means our defenses in terminal egress are going to be
We built something.
are going to be held back for a bit. Through hard work and experience, Governor Axmacat has developed new skills. So I want to split up the attentions here a little bit. We do need the extra cruiser. So that one's going to go into the Kotala Void Stalkers. How far out of the system are they? Okay, so because they're not going to be participating in the defense anyway, I am actually going to cannibalize this fleet for some new ships. So I need a cruiser and 2 destroyers. So again, we're only going to go pirate hop. We're only going to take out some pirates here. So it's not. It's actually not bad that I'm pulling off these ships. And then a cruiser. Oh, right. I need to give it the new spec. So I may not be able to satisfy the Corvette request, but let's see what we can do. Okay, so 2 cruisers. Let's start with 2 cruisers and 3 destroyers. Man, that's going to be hard to keep track. One's the Skulkers, one's the Stalkers. Okay, so in theory, if I wanted to satisfy the Corvettes, I would need 14. They've got 13. Honestly, I don't really feel all that comfortable stripping this fleet of all of its Corvettes. So I think we're just going to send them on their merry way.
Prospect analyzed.
We are... Oh, right. The ridiculous amount of money we're losing is because of the piracy, so that will be dealt with shortly. Now, the next question that I want to answer when I look at the alloys, again, I definitely want to build up my defenses. Okay, we're at maximum capacity here. So where were we for the Starbase queue? So I think I needed to build one more cruiser. How many did I say I needed? Is that true that I just needed 3 more? I don't really believe that number, but we'll see.
Wow, we really hit this tech out of the ballpark.
Flak artillery, predictive tracking algorithms, and even more powerful rounds make these batteries incredibly lethal to enemy strike craft. Okay, the Citadel is actually one I might be willing to sort of leapfrog the research on. Yeah, because this is going to be entirely about holding against the Gray Tempest. So I don't normally do this, but this is one of these cases where I actually kind of need to have all hands on deck as far as the research quality is concerned. And as it happens, Kirox, apparently named after the founder, is one of the best researchers that I can put towards this. So.
Mining station lost.
I love how annoyed he sounds at it. I probably should just be spinning up these... Well, no, actually, sorry. Those cruisers aren't important. Oh, damn it. Put one too many.
Prospect analyzed. Construction complete.
Okay, more gateways. That's the Techerus Link usually building those. That and my allies, actually, but the Techerus Link is the one that we're starting to make nice with, but we're not fully there.
Imagine the profit margins on this tech.
Okay, the collective self. Finding aspects of the self within the group is natural and inevitable, and eventually those shared aspects must be valued higher than individual identities. So, the usual routine here has been to go for sort of the lowest cost tech to try and bring my tech level up. So the command matrix is attempting one for leapfrogging, but I am going to hold to the strategy and build the Paradise Dome. Again, the long-term goal on this is to try and eclipse the Loxongrak-Va Royal States again. Now, my suspicion is going to be that once the Grey Tempest is dealt with, what we're going to do is humiliation CB on them, cut them down to size, and then essentially we're hoping that the relative power of our two empires diverge, and that I will be able to properly subjugate them. But for the time being, I'm sort of stuck. Governing ethics shift in the Elemented Concern. Following a long period of growing support for the Xeno-Justice Initiative, the Elemented Concern has finally embraced the faction, adopting their core values and policies. As a result of bringing this faction into their government, they have become more outwardly xenophilic. Now, this gives me a good reminder. Should just see how we are on the spying front. So we're trying to acquire an asset. Our intelligence services have really fallen apart over time.
Resource scan complete.
Okay, I'm fine with all the automated resource scanning. There's a lot of the galaxy we haven't explored yet, so I'm kind of happy to see it. The Loxongrak-Va Royal States has ended their rivalry with the Techerus Link. That's not great for me because the mutual dislike of these guys was the thing that kind of kept me
Imagine the profit margins
kept me on good terms with
tech.
them. But we'll see what we can do. Now, this was a huge one for us. Artificer output plus 10%. We're trying to, again, reduce the number of consumer goods that we're importing. So, using advanced AIs, we can reliably predict consumer demand before it exists. And again, we're going to go for the cheap tech if we can. Fortunately... So, I'd love to do better code breaking, but the fact of the matter is that I've been doing far more with my conventional military than I have been with my intelligence services. So we are going to unlock Sapient Combat AI. like those numbers, so we're gonna knock this down by 10, let's say. Custodian Protocol 712-4 activated, initiating resource transfer to compliant organic civilization. Message follows. Error, data block corrupted, error, data block corrupted, error, data block corrupted. Wow, we graciously accept. So that's 3,000 minerals, 1,000 energy, and 500 alloys. All things that I could definitely use. So, as is usual, we try and fill in the gaps. Now, I've kind of lost track in terms of where I was on my wish list. So I think we got the cruisers that we needed. I think I only needed 3 of those. I actually think we needed 9 destroyers. So it was 3 destroyers. It was 3 destroyers per fleet. But then it also occurred to me that I think we've got the destroyers that we need. Yes. In fact, we've got 1 too many. So I'm just making sure the numbers make sense. Yeah, so basically I can just take a look at what the Void Stalkers need, and that'll tell me where I've fallen short. So we've got the 3 cruisers. Looks like they need 7 destroyers. So yeah, we're really far behind on those. And then it's the corvettes where it's just sort of madness, but we're clearly not going to have enough to fill the full request. So we'll just So I got 6. I think I said I needed 7, right? Yeah, so we're close. I don't even really care what this stuff's getting built anymore.
Prospect analyzed.
I'm sure it will make them very difficult to deal with if I get into a war with them, but honestly,
complete.
we probably win if we don't go to war with them. So our deep cover operatives have stepped up their surveillance on potential targets. So this should be pretty straightforward, but we'll see where it goes.
Resource scan complete.
The biggest worries about piracy, if I'm completely honest, are less about the losses in the individual system, but more about what I lose per turn in terms of this. Anyways, the agreement we signed giving you access to our databanks has run its course. Would you like to extend it for another 10 standard years, or do your researchers no longer require the information we offer? We definitely want to extend the deal. We pretty much always extend the deals unless we're well and truly out of money, and even then I'd pretty much sell the furniture to make that work.
Engaging hostiles.
Okay, so we're gonna take out the base now. And I'm going to do something a little silly here. I'm actually going to send them to the capital and upgrade the ships.
Engaging hostile station.
So the risk of doing so is we are under strength when it comes time to fight the Grey Tempest. And of course the benefit... Actually, I shouldn't do that because I've got ships on their way to me. So we'll enter the orbit first, and then we'll think about the next steps. They're probably going to come after me. They're definitely going to come after me. Okay. So the question here becomes, how badly do I want to keep this this location? Because this definitely cannot defend itself against even one Tempest Shoal. But if I don't deal with this, the Grey Tempest is just going to come in and eat all of my systems. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and have it both ways. So I'm going to move the ship. I want to see where this goes after taking Ammetizer. But I might just be setting myself up for disappointment. The readings originate from a small metal pod. Science officer Rapidom has determined it to be a lifeboat of ancient and alien make. Evidently caught on the outskirts of the black hole's gravity well eons ago, at an angle just short of a slingshot maneuver, whether this was by intent or happenstance is difficult to judge. With the pod's automated thrusters have been fighting descent to the event horizon ever since, it is now too close to the horizon to salvage. Rabidom's report ends abruptly, and the crew of the ISS Iridzor V5 communicate that science officer appears shaken and deeply troubled by the tragic fate of the lifeboat. So, a ton of physics research, and they become paranoid.
Prospect analyzed.
Okay, no unemployment to deal with, which is good. So, we knew this was happening. The question is, where do they go afterwards? Okay, but I do get a chance. Oh! I do get a chance to boost the number. In fact, I may just avoid doing the... I should have just removed the battleships.
Starbase lost.
Okay. Interesting. Is it actually... No, it looks like it's going...
Complete.
Looks like it's going to my territory even deeper. I hate half measures. I have a feeling this is just going to wind up losing me both. But I'm not quite comfortable enough to fully abandon this sector. I can't quite afford to buy the alloys yet. We do have some upgrades which are coming up, so...
Planetary exploitation forecast complete.
So basically, I was willing to give this up because this is a decent little choke point. If we lose this, this is sudden. Like, it's pretty clear that the Grey Tempest is going to be on a path to start taking my systems, and so we need to send the Navy to go and stop them. Now, we may be able to get up one system here by reclaiming, but let's They have kind of my allies have sort of hardened this position, so the gains from this system aren't quite as significant. So, like if I lose this permanently, it's not the end of the world. If I start losing some of these other systems, it does actually present some threats to us. So that's why I'm moving the fleets out now. But again, this is not an ideal fleet to punch the Grey Tempest. So. It's going to be a little scary. Paradise Dome. With the latest advances in architecture, landscaping, and holographic technology, we shall build the homes of the future. Okay, again, we're going to go for the cheap society tech if we can find it. Looks like a penal colony, so that's really not going to get me a whole lot, but gives us something to start with. A short list of targets has been drawn up. These operatives, the operatives who are no longer tasked with surveillance, will provide cover for the others. So my first priority for my alloys is not going to be to build more ships. It's actually going to be to do the upgrades and such here, that or build more defensive platforms. But we're sort of on track for those. Okay, so I've got more than one construction ship in that area. That's probably not smart. Operatives spooked. Despite having taken every precaution prescribed in their training, one of our operatives in the Confederation of Zacho has raised concerns that their cover may be blown. Apparently, this comes at a critical time for Operation Acquire Asset. As such, Spymaster Daklanex requests more resources with which he might prevent disruptions further down the line. Bribery. Even though I don't want to be spending too much money.
Planetary
that's like 2 months worth of 2 months worth of earnings. Now, it's a real shame I'm losing this one, but okay, so they're heading to Rendell, so we got to get the construction ship out of the area there. So we're going to lose a lot of influence rebuilding this stuff. But we are finally able to take on the Grey Tempest. A short list of targets has been drawn up. Those operatives who are no longer tasked with surveillance will provide cover for the others. Okay. Takes me a long time to get anywhere. So I'm going to wait for the Grey Tempest to get out of the area, and then we can build a...
Evading hostiles!
So I suppose, lucky for me, they're not attacking the base. Let's start by moving to the edge of the system. So they do sometimes turn around and make sadness. So in this case, I want us first of all to get close to the lane, and if they do turn around, then we're ready to fight them. Just want a word on. So I do not want to repeal buzzword stand. Yes, we want to support focusing on the Grey Tempest. Well, if I'm not going to take out the Tianki, I suppose I can support the Conservation Act. Okay, so let's see what they're up to. Okay, they are committing to the warp, so we've got a welcome party ready to go. We're also in close range, so that's arguably a better encounter for us.
Imagine the profit margins on this tech.
What did we take out? 2 interdictors and mother. Cool. Okay, so there's a couple things that I want to do here. The Voidstalkers are kind of ready to go, so I want them back in position. Now, these guys, on the other hand, that doesn't make any sense. Ah, here we go. Okay. So definitely boot the 2 battleships. So we've got 4 battleships, 8 cruisers, 15 out of 16 destroyers. Okay, that's actually not bad. So these guys we're going to move back to upgrading. These guys we're just going to send home. Well, I guess we can send them to upgrade as well. Get the template back in track. There we go. So it looks like I just need to build 1 more destroyer for them. And then a lot of Corvette, 21. You know what? Before I go crazy with that, Yeah. Getting this thing upgraded is priority number 1. Okay, so more defenses. Oh, I mean, the shipyard is kind of tempting, but... well, actually, I can have both. Okay, Sapient Combat AI. Running Sapient AIs through high-intensity combat simulations yields valuable insight into potential optimizations for risk evaluation techniques. I wanted the particle lance, but phase disruptors because it's cheaper. Okay, again, I'm at the point now where I'm a little tempted to start buying up alloys, but I know I'm going to need the money, so I'm going to try and be a little more disciplined. As the operation nears its conclusion, Spymaster Daklinex has moved to secure our new asset within the Confederation of Zako. Our remaining operatives are poised to facilitate any cover he may need. Asset acquired. Spymaster Daklinex reports from the Confederation of Zako. A successful execution so far. We have secured access to an official within the Zako civic hierarchy. This asset will be kept secure, but poised, ready to assist us with future operations, particularly when we might brush up against diplomatic or governmental issues. So I think we are ready to go on another mission. Are they... Okay, they're in a federation. Well, yes, they're in a federation, but not really. Oh, hang on. Yes, yes. Okay, no, I get it now. Okay, so one more on acquiring an asset. We can actually... short on motes, huh? Oh, it's probably because of the base that I lost. Yep. We'll get that back.
Prospect analyzed.
Also, I should see what kind of science ships I have in the area. So there was one working on a research project up here. Yeah, that's already done, though. So what I want to use that science ship for... normally I'd automate the exploration, but I get a chance to survey this system and potentially take it out from under my ally. If nothing else, I'd like to move up to Fuela. I mean, re-establishing the borders would be best, but at the very least getting back to Fuela.
Boom. We built something.
Okay, so they'll back it up with the mining and research.
Technology acquired.
Actually, yeah, no, mining is for the modes. Citadel. Plans for an immense battle station capable of holding its own against several strike fleets are now being drawn up. If realized, these citadels will become monuments to greatness as much as system hubs. Okay. God, there's so much I can do here. The Nanite transmuter is not actually that costly. In fact, very few of these are very costly. Again, we'll go for the low tech. Or low cost tech.
We've got to shake those hostiles.
What on earth was this ship thinking?
Resource scan complete.
So I'm hoping that does not attract them into the system. We're getting better in terms of defenses, but we are by no means ready to take that. Oh, hang on, I get it. Yeah, that's a second ship like that. I'm a little nervous about this. You know what? We'll just hold. Our deep cover operatives have stepped up their surveillance on potential targets. Gonna taking a little financial pressure off. We're doing well for cash. Alloys are kind of cheap. The starting experience is tempting. The crew quarters is probably better for my overall financial well-being. Don't want to go into a deficit there. It's a little premature.
Ships upgraded.
That's a lot faster than I was expecting. Okay, that explains it. And looks like we've got another upgrade. Cool. And we also have unemployment. Okay. So I'm going to send them off to the generator world. Drain on resources. Spymaster Daklanex recently launched a quiet investigation into his own operatives in the Confederation of Zako. After noticing a recent drop in their performance, he has discovered these operatives skimming from the resources allocated to intelligence gathering and bribes. These goods and currencies are being reinvested elsewhere in Zako business concerns, earning the operatives a comfortable profit at our expense. As a result, their attention and loyalties have clearly become divided. Progress on Operation Acquire Asset has been put on hold for the moment until Spymaster Daklanex can reassert operational efficiency. So he said this could give us an interesting edge, which would give us higher trade value, but we would need a commercial pact, which we can't get as a criminal enterprise. So these cannot be tolerated. Issue reprimands. Operatives toe the line. Our operatives in the Confederation of Zako are no longer skimming resources from our spy network allocation. Firm reminders of just where their loyalties lie have reinvigorated the operatives' sense of dedication. They will turn their resourceful talents wholly to the cause. Oh, cool.
Construction complete.
Okay. That's actually happening a bit faster than I thought it would, so makes me happy.
Wow, we really hit this tech out of the ballpark.
Through the development of special penal worlds, criminals can be rehabilitated through honest hard labor. Some may be in need of permanent rehabilitation. The boost to starbase capacity is mighty tempting, but again, we go for our lowest cost techs. And in this case here, I like the idea of the better fire rate. Everything we can do to get an edge on the L cluster is valuable right now. Oh, this is unforgivable. What's going on here? They should have been in the... I don't know what happened there, but I'm mad about it. A short list of targets has been drawn up. Those operatives who are no longer tasked with surveillance will provide cover for the others. So one thing I do want to consider for a medium-term goal is the species that I'm less likely to have a war with. So obviously allies are the most useful. Now again, it could be that these guys are hive minds and so I can't set up criminal enterprises. But yeah, what I want to do is like find the people who I'm not likely to be at war with, so that I can put branch offices. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of species like that. If we go to our contact list, so when we go from federations, the Confederations of Zako, Enlightened Kingdom of Conoramus, and the Miro Vandia Imperial Sons all are they're all in the same federation, and so will declare war on me, and as a result I'll lose my Well, actually, that's an interesting question. If I go to war with one of them, whether it does. The Elemented Concern is already a corporation, so we're not able to open branch offices there. The Loxon Grakva Royal States are the most likely candidate for me to attack. The Nar Consciousness, we tried to, but couldn't, so it could be because they're a hive mind. The Pyrun tribes... Actually, I guess they're the one... Yeah, why not? So we'll do our usual deal. Drug labs and research. Actually, we can kind of put a little of everything on here, so... So much money. I wasn't expecting to do that, but that's actually a nice little windfall for me. Surely I can't... Yeah. So we'll leave it at that. Target of Casus Belli. Oh right, because we put a... That's fine.
Resource scan complete.
Okay, let's take a look at where my fleets are. So these guys are upgrading. We've got a destroyer and a corvette. So we were, what? One destroyer. Yep, so it's just tons of corvettes at this point. As always, we're just going to take a quick look at terminal egress because the base is actually starting to look quite handsome. Yeah, everything's in the queue, so at this point we really just need the upgrade to go through. Which is good. I mean, that just means I get to focus on the other factors. So that's a start. 13.
Ship status cutting edge.
That's faster than I was expecting, actually. Actually, at this rate, I'm willing to give up the 11 corvettes. Send these off to the Void Skulkers again, because these are going to be on the front line against the...
Construction complete.
Against the Grey Tempest. All right. I'm feeling cautiously optimistic. Apparently I neglected... I guess it was Citadel? I thought we already got that. Okay. There is a temptation to go for the advanced habitat. We've been sitting on that forever. But advanced strikecraft is the lower end tech, so I still want to keep to the plan. As the operation nears its conclusion, Spymaster Daklanex has moved to secure our new asset within the Confederation of Zako. Our remaining operatives are poised to facilitate any cover he needs. And then our Spymaster in the Loxangrak-Va Royal State, Toxidol reports a drastic failure in her process for screening for operatives. Word from Loxangrak Van capital is that an informant has chosen to defect. Despite the fact that we are supposed to be able to screen out such disloyalty, the informant has been turned either by an act of counter-espionage or some innate sympathy towards the Loxangrak-Va Royal States, which we were unable to detect before. So, I will say, get your house in order. But we did get the Zako operatives, so we'll be able to move up to 100%. We're obviously going to have to wait a while on that, but that's why I got those. I kind of went for the operatives first, just so that I could get that all in the queue. I mean, at this point, really, we're just waiting on a whole lot of Corvettes. 31 to be precise.
Resource scan complete. Resource scan complete. Technology discovered. Rad.
Okay. Oh, we are on the way to joining the council again. I was not expecting that, but that's a good outcome for me. Phase Disruptor. Extremely high-yield disruptors that fire quantum energy charges, causing incredible damage to those unfortunate enough to get in their way. So we can also get the code breaking. I mean, the extra shooting is kind of nice. You know what? I still got to do it. Again, the focus is the Grey Tempest, so even though it would help my intelligence operations, the fact of the matter is if I want to hold that location, I need to invest in my navy.
Construction complete.
Gonna kick out the Corvettes and make them join the correct fleet. Alright, this is probably going to pass. It shouldn't, but it very likely will. It's just I can't see why the rest of the species would want to give up power so easily. All right, so maybe I won't be joining the council after all. Oh, it's gonna come right to the wire. Interesting. Alright, the elections have concluded. The Galactic community has chosen a new council. The Nar Consciousness, the Tecarus Link, and the Natraxian Rum Runners. Well, they already oppose it, so... I was wondering if I could, like, veto. But I guess you can't veto when it's on the, You can't veto when it's part of the when it's already on the floor. What I might do though, focus the Grey Tempest. So all empires within the galactic community will open borders to one another and mobilize for war. Actually, you know what? That's not as important. If it's just opening borders, I think I can get by handling them on my own. Again, the loss of the ships is going to be the thing that really really stresses me out for a while.
Resource scan complete. Boom. We built something.
Okay. Move myself a little bit closer to the inside of the Empire. As the operation nears its conclusion, Spymaster Toxidol has moved to secure our new asset within the Lox Ungrakva Royal States. Our remaining operatives are poised to facilitate any cover she may need. And Spymaster Toxidol reports from the Lox Ungrakva Royal States a successful execution so far. We have won the loyalty of a Lox Ungrakvan rebel, whose desire for disruptive change may be easily molded to suit our goals as well. So, in this case here, it's really just kind of brute forcing assets, which is going to be what can help me with my infiltration level. So we are going to do another acquire asset operation. Sadly, we don't have anything to give us an edge. So in this case, we're just going to spam that as much as we can. Again, nothing's happening with these guys until the Grey Tempest is dealt with. But I definitely want to. I want to keep an eye on my options. There is also, I am slightly leaning towards building military academies on all of my worlds to help out with this naval capacity, because we are really kind of testing the limits of just about everything at this point. Getting there.
Planetary exploitation forecast complete.
Okay, upgrades coming in. So this will mean that we'll have a shipyard before too long.
Generate some revenue.
That's going to mean that we can start doing some more
complete.
upgrades. Restructuring the chain of command and deciding what interdependencies are set between officers make fleets more responsive and effective. Cool. There's a lot for me to play with here, but I think we're going to do synthetic thought patterns. You know, just something to give me more of the tools of war. Okay, Zygar is running out of jobs.
Planetary exploitation forecast complete.
I'm running out of sort of absorbing planets for these surplus pops, but that's a very handsome number I'm seeing on the income side. And I'm generating a surplus of rare crystals, so I'm going to pull one of those back. And I think what I'm going to do is, if we've got a surplus of 800, let's put half of that towards additional alloys. Actually, honestly, at this rate, could probably be a little more aggressive.
Another bleeding-edge technology discovered.
A further refinement in strikecraft design. These advanced strikecraft are a pilot's dream. Their performance far exceeds that of previous models. All right. The costs are getting lower, but I gotta keep with the plan. Again, I still need to decide whether I want to do industrial districts or generator districts. Actually, I think I have my answer, but yeah, it looks like our collective weight are enough. Okay, final step in domination. Privy Council. The best and brightest compete for a chance to whisper advice into the auditory receiver of our illustrious ruler to better guide the ship of state. So now I've got more than one perk to run with. So again, the Eternal Vigilance was a tempting one, as was... wasn't Defender of the Galaxy. I think it was The Flesh is Weak. Now, I haven't quite made a decision in terms of the overall direction for the species. Though, to be honest, a combination of Eternal Vigilance and Grasp the Void is a little tempting. But yeah, for now we're going to lock in Eternal Vigilance. I also think we have got space for some more Corvettes. So where are we at? We just need 4 more. So that battleship's for the next fleet. Again, we're going well over the cap doing that, but I have plans.
Planetary exploitation forecast complete.
Almost done on the upgrade.
Planetary exploitation forecast complete.
There's a temptation to buy a whole lot in one go, but that is going to raise my costs, so I should be a little more careful on that. A salacious affair. The boys' diplomatic corps has been shaken by the news emerging from the Loxongrak-Va Royal States. Our ambassador, Toxidol, who had been stationed there, has gotten herself into a serious mess with Loxongrak-Va law enforcement. She's currently in connection with a salacious affair involving an astonishing range of serious crimes that culminated in a brutal double murder. As matters stand, and with rumors running wild among the Loxongrak-Vanai, there seems little doubt as to Toxidol's guilt. The Loxongrak-Van authorities have requested that her diplomatic immunity be lifted so that she can face justice for her deeds. Or recall for her own protection. Yeah, honestly, I don't care that they hate me. Oh, Toxidol arrested. Upon entering Loxongrak-Va Royal's States, Ambassador Toxidol was arrested on numerous charges of wrongdoing. The Loxongrak-Va missive was brief. We thank you for returning the criminal to us so that justice may be served. Ridiculous. I kind of wish they'd like warned. I guess I kind of get it, but man, it would have been nice if I had a little warning in terms of it. I would have flipped around everybody. I mean, what's the point if the whole business is about the diplomatic immunity? I don't know. I guess it was just something about the fact that because we're not lifting the diplomatic immunity, then their arrest wasn't going to happen, I guess was what I thought. I can't entirely be blamed. Or sorry, I can't entirely blame the game for like pulling the rug out from under me. Like, it has its internal logic to it, but I don't think there's a lot of other cases in the game where that sort of stuff really happens. Anyways, powerful weapons that launch a lightning arc of chaotic energy at targets, which in part can ignore armor and shields. I think it's because in Stellaris, it's definitely very easy to lose track of all the different things going on, and so I can definitely see situations where that like that happens, it hits you, and like you really have no idea what happened until it's too late. But anyways, I won't spend too much time talking about it. Okay. So, we're upgrading. This is basically an upgrade because I can. I think I did say I was going to go over these worlds and think about how I could boost the... I've got too many idle science ships at this point. Okay, so as always, we see what we can do with our base. Like these numbers I'm seeing in the consumer goods. Now again, consumer goods are not actually that expensive. So I shouldn't be too worried about... I shouldn't be too worried about getting the... I shouldn't be too worried about like lowering the cost of that sort of stuff, but again, just it's a chance for me to redirect resources towards acquiring alloys. And again, there's a very big temptation to buy as many of those as I can for one big go, but if I don't do that, then my monthly costs are down.
Boom. We built something.
Like I said, we're running out of stuff that we can send to, or running out of space on Zandaban that we've been using sort of as a sponge for our surplus labor.
Wow, we really hit this tech out of the ballpark.
I do have a few things that I can still do though. Upgrade space torpedoes encased in armor to better withstand enemy point defense fire. The armor fragments into shards that cause additional damage when the torpedo detonates. All right. I might do another leapfrog just for advanced habitats because again, things are getting a little crowded on our stations. So yeah, at long last, habitat expansion. Should have done this a lot sooner. I'm kind of curious where we're at tech-wise. I probably should have been keeping track of these numbers anyway. So they are at 1548, and we are at... Interesting. There's only 36 separating us. I definitely want to build some more research facilities, but that's a really encouraging number.
Ships upgraded.
Okay, so there's obviously always going to be more upgrades that can happen, but in this case we now have 3 full fleets in the in terminal egress again. So there's a couple of options that I have at this point. One, I can start hunting the Grey Tempest again. I am actually slightly warm to that idea, but of course the drawback is that if we get beaten up too much, then then potentially we lose terminal egress. Again, this is definitely a very respectable base now. It's 18.4 defense on its own, and we still have stuff that we're going to be building up, both defense platforms as well as other upgrades. Okay, it really pains me that I'm going to do this because I'm going to spike the price through the roof, but I need to get that Citadel upgrade in.
Imagine the profit margins on this
That's
tech.
not a surprise. So we're going to have to give that up in monthly purchases, but it was worth it. Thinking outside the box merely places you in another, somewhat larger box. Okay. This can convert tomb worlds, right? That's a tempting one for our expansion, especially because we can turn those into... Well, you know what? I guess we can just still colonize the tomb world anyway. I gotta think about that a bit. We're gonna do the usual rule of the cheapest tech. Again, we're just so close to being able to eclipse the neighbors. It's an Atraxi, so they go on to Zandaban. What's going on here? Actually, you know what? I'm just trying to think if there's anything industrial oriented I can put towards this. Let's just get them working on strategic resources. So I still need more crystals. Okay, same story on my factory world. I'm a little worried about this crime. I'm not quite sure the soldiers are going to be enough to handle it, but... Okay, this is already... Yeah, there's nothing else I can really do here. It doesn't even have a fortress, so... I'll admit, I'm a bit surprised I put a slave processing facility given... Well, I guess I have a lot of slave clerks, so that sort of makes sense. This is just a sneaky little way to get my fleet cap up. I should also consider maybe replacing some of those robotics factories. Never really did sort out what I was going to do with this world, did I? Okay, so we've got 5... Okay, so I can max out the... Actually, okay, first of all, that settles that. I can use this purely for energy, at which point these become specialized districts, and I guess I would focus this more on unity generation. Yeah, you know what? These kinds of worlds don't come by very often. So this is a pure generator world now. What did I do on the capital? Did I really put an administrative center here? Jesus. What was I thinking? Put a research lab. You definitely need to boost your pops. Yes, I see the dilemma. So basically I need to decide, do I put the extra into generators? And... Actually, you know what? Honestly, I should probably just get rid of the generators and put them into industrial districts. Well, I definitely don't have a mineral refinery here, so we got to build at least one more district. I think the specialized districts are worth a bit more, to be honest. Okay, I probably didn't build as many military academies as I wanted, but can't have everything, I suppose. Let's go back to boosting our defenses. Okay, so that's a huge upgrade that we definitely needed to do. Don't see a lot of value in additional anchorages right now. I think
planetary exploitation forecast complete.
I think things that are built around being the just like the biggest, scariest. Oh man, yeah. This is going to be impossible to take over when the time comes. Spymaster Vobadurn recently launched a quiet investigation into his own operatives on the Loxongrakva Royal States after noticing a recent drop in their performance. He has discovered these operatives skimming the resources associated to intelligence gathering and bribes. These goods and currencies are being reinvested elsewhere in the Loxongrakvan business concerns and earning the operatives a comfortable profit at our expense. As a result, their attention and loyalties have been clearly become divided. Progress on Operation Acquire Asset has been put on hold for the moment until Spymaster Vobadurn can reassert operational efficiency. I definitely do not want to drop the infiltration level. So, and they toe the line, so we get a little more progress. Shipyard is less than a month away, which is great because then we can throw these guys into upgrades. Done. Go to hell. There is a perfectly usable... Okay, maybe not you. So this is going to take a long time.
Planetary
but
exploitation forecast complete.
The key is they'll be doing it.
Found some enemies.
All right, we knew this was coming.
Prospect analyzed.
It's entirely possible that some of these are actually going to be coming out into the... Wait a minute! Yeah, so you don't have to worry about the FTL inhibitor inside here. That sucks! So I think the thing is that we're probably going to lose this base again. And I'll be honest, I'm also a little nervous about this fleet. So let's keep an eye on the situation. I definitely don't want to take on 3 of these fleets at once if I can avoid it. Oh, we're taking on 1. So 3, 6 corvettes. That's not the worst outcome, to be honest. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I want to see what happened. I want to see what comes out on the other end of that gate. ship is already on its way. So I'm actually going to move...
They're coming for our starbase.
Damn it. This is going to be a very, very tough fight for them. So we're going to lose a lot of ships off of this, unfortunately.
Research station lost, but we needed that.
God, look at how much we just lost. Our guys haven't even shown up. And that's happening while I need my strength to be higher. Okay. We lost all the battleships? Jesus. That stings. So yeah, it is a bit annoying that the Grey Tempest is able to bypass my defenses like that. But we're going to come out the other end and make them pay. Okay, so 4 more corvettes and a cruiser. And we're gonna go get these guys upgrading. But this is definitely the time we do a counterattack once we have the ships. So actually, let's see if we can make those numbers happen. I don't have a cruiser, sadly. Please tell me we're working on one. We are. So it's a cruiser and 10 corvettes, and I'm pretty sure we've got the, well, almost enough corvettes. Price is coming down. Okay, once the cruiser gets added, we'll send the replacements out. In the meantime, I'm gonna move them in.
Planetary exploitation forecast complete.
Okay, bunch of stuff just happened here. So the council size vote has failed, which is good. Okay, so there is a threat here. What I'm most curious about is whether and if they're gonna attack me. So I'm gonna just survey these planets on the edge. If they move, like if they come after me, I gotta get out of there. But
We've got to shake those hostiles.
interesting. I don't think I've ever seen them come out of their own space. That's a little surprising. That's a neat behavior, though. I like that from a storytelling point of view. Obviously, that's inconvenient for me, but okay. So we need to get these guys into terminal egress as quickly as possible. I'm definitely going to need a replacement battleship. So yeah, what I need to start thinking about now is what replacements do I need for this fleet. So definitely one more battleship before anything. We don't have the money for it, or the alloys for it.
Wow, we really hit this tech out of the ballpark.
Particle ants. These heavy energy weapons fire focused particle beams that cause massive damage. The size of the emitter arrays limit their use to battleships and titans. We'll start with the neutron launchers. This may be a point where I need to buy up the alloys, because I know some of my alloys are going to be... Nope, we're okay. I'm okay with major administrative sanctions, given that I'm now on the council. Out of curiosity, is anybody in breach? Nobody who I care about is in breach.
Imagine the profit margins on this tech.
Extensive study into different soil types and their ability to support crops will help improve the living conditions of our settlers on foreign worlds. Again, we're just going for the inexpensive techs. I am a little curious how we rate, so we are now at 1556 versus the 76, so they've opened that gap by 20 points. We should be able to make something of it, though. I do want to keep these defense platforms going, but again, I'm really divided in terms of my attention right now, so just gonna hold fast and hope for the best. Now, one thing I can do though is start building towards the replacements. So our ideal fleet size, so 8 cruisers, we can start building those replacements now. So I'm going to need 4 cruisers by the end of it. Our spotters have begun ingratiating themselves with targets we've marked as potentially useful.
Prospect analyzed.
And contact lost. Spymaster Vovadern reports having lost contact with his operatives on active deployment in the Loxongrak Va Royal States. They missed a number of their most recent scheduled check-ins. In accordance with standard procedures, we must now decide whether or not to track them down. Usually I like to track them down. I know that costs me infiltration level, but that's one of the times I'm willing to do it. Okay, so we're going to survey this. Again, I got to be careful of the Grey Tempest, just because it does it is still something that's gonna cause me trouble. I think we might be able to go to Gribben too, but anything further and I'm in trouble. Alright, contact confirmed lost. Despite our best efforts, we cannot restore contact with our operatives in the Loxongrak Va Royal State. Spymaster Vobadern has ordered a review of the monitoring procedures for our spy network there. It is possible that Loxongrak Van have more sophisticated encryption than we had thought. Meanwhile, Operation Acquire Asset will resume at a reduced capacity while we recoup our losses. So, yeah, we're definitely struggling against our nearest rival. Okay, that fleet's come back. So we're going to get them... In this case, we'll just combine everything. We will set them to upgrade. But obviously here we want to get them back to capacity. That's concerning that the Techaris are actually running ships in there. Oh, also, I should have sent my construction ship to replace what was lost. Okay. It's an encouraging start. too many idle science ships, sadly. Okay, so the plan is, I know it's been a little while. Once I get... Yeah, it's a tough call whether or not I want to do this with 2 fleets or... I'd prefer 3 fleets on this if I can. But the plan is going to be to take out this Tempest Shoal and then make a move, basically get a science ship in here, just see where things are at, very slowly make progress inside the in the L cluster. We always need to prepare for the possibility that multiple Tempest Shoals show up in this system, so that's why I'm moving. I'm still moving slowly, but I don't want to be moving. I don't want to be so passive that. Okay, I'm a little curious what happens here. I guess I don't have eyes on it. Still made the price spike, so...
Ship status, cutting edge.
Okay, what are we looking at? So we're still building 1 cruiser. That means we need 2 more. What does a cruiser cost me? 500. Ugh. This is gonna hurt. Okay, it's a start. 8 destroyers and then 1 million corvettes. I'll make a note, but
Construction complete.
Oh. No, I can't. I was gonna do that while I was unpaused, but... Okay. It's just helpful for me to leave some notes for myself in terms of what my construction priorities are. We're still working... I mean, again, this is a very slow upgrade cycle, and it's kind of by design.
Prospect analyzed.
The big idea here is that...
Construction complete.
I'm trying to think of the right way to put it. Like, because I have this bottleneck of 1 shipyard in the terminal egress, it stops me from upgrading my biggest fleets and saying, haha, I am unstoppable now, and then just running in and taking out one of those Tempest Shoals. What it means is that I'll have more time. Sorry, I'm trying to adjust my blanket. I'll have more... It basically gives me... Okay, so it's a double-edged sword, so it gives me more time to prepare. The drawback is that it also gives them more time to prepare another attack. So that's why I also don't want to sit completely idle on this. For the meantime, though, we've got the Zikorian black hole back, so we can rebuild our infrastructure. And again, the hope is that the more we keep pushing into the Grey Tempest area, the more we're going to be able to... the closer we're going to be to just ending those added fleets. So we'll see if that actually turns out that way. But okay, and now 3 destroyers. Destroyers and corvettes don't take a really long time to build. It's more just the cost.
We really hit this tech out of the ballpark.
I forgot. Sorry, I was making a note. All right, our early habitats were primitive things compared to the efficient designs we can now develop. This is going to be a really big outlay of alloys, I suspect. But for the time being, we're going to go for the cheap stuff again. So, Stormfire autocannon. So let me just take a quick look here. We've got... yes. Okay, so first priority. 5 corvettes. This is not the most efficient way to do upgrades, but... Okay, where were we at with you? So, I need 3 cruisers and 8 destroyers, which are already under construction. 3 cruisers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so I do need 1 more destroyer. I can wait it out. Okay, so the Confederation of Zaco apparently doesn't have their... They did something to annoy them. That or they just don't see the benefit in the research agreement anymore. Ah, they stole the alloys. That's the drawback of doing the upgrades, is that sometimes your resources get ninja'd out from under you. Okay, so that's the destroyers taken care of. The rest is going to go into corvettes, and then we're going to start focusing on the defensive stations again. So that sounded like 2. That is 2. Like I said, this is probably going to take a while. But I'm going to hover over it. Okay, 18. Okay, down to 15.
Wow, we really hit this tech out of the ballpark.
Habitability modification. Through glandular biological tailoring, we can change the environmental tolerance of a species to suit our needs. And command limit. All right, that's going to play havoc. There's a ton. So the command limit is actually kind of helpful, but in this case we're going to do climate restoration just because I could do with a little bit less stress on my shipyards. Well, that's rather good to see, actually. So I think we're down to 12, but I might want to double check these numbers. So we've got 2 more corvettes coming into a fleet which is gone. So we're up to 22, which means we need, yep, we're 12.
Imagine the profit margins on this tech.
Excuse me, 10 away. So again, the thing to keep in mind on this, one of the reasons why, I realize this isn't always the most stimulating for streaming, but there's a specific design behind this. So the ticking clock here is my ability to rebuild the Kugal Void Skulkers. Once I do that, we'll start rebuilding battleships and stuff like that. That'll be taken care of. But the real aim here is to get this thing moving into the terminal egress, because that is when we come after the Tempest Shoal. Right now, the science ship apparently is incredibly brave. Just going to move him off to the side here. But the real thing that I want to be doing is clearing the path to get here. This is my best guess in terms of where the Grey Tempest is sort of coming from. Now, there's still a world of work ahead of me in terms of trying to actually take that target out. But it's a start. Also, I've been ignoring my trade. We're actually doing okay on consumer goods, so we can give a little bit of that back. Alloys, on the other hand, yeah, those are expensive. So I really, really want to buy a lot of alloys, but I know if I do that, my monthly costs are going to go through the roof. So upgraded energy projectiles that rely on neutrons instead of protons for the destructive power. Okay. Focused arc emitter it is. Pretty much at the end of the physics research tasks, so... Again, Again, Zandaban is my population sponge right now. Sorry, again, I'm just trying to think about how to spend my alloys. So one thing with all the space in the Empire, I believe it's a decision. Yeah, that's not what I want. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Maybe I just haven't... I guess I've never played one of these before, so there should be a way for me to upgrade this base. Surely a construction ship doesn't do it. Not quite what I wanted. I think I can just hit stop. Okay, so it's an orbital habitat. This is related to population. That's always been there. Cease robot assembly. Well, we've already got that. Population controls, I don't want to do any of that. This is going to be one of these cases where I take a look at the wiki. Okay, can be increased up to size 8 by decision with the required technologies. Now, I would have thought under technologies, because we've already under... Surely there is a way of seeing my past research. Yeah. So under engineering, we've got advanced habitats. So our orbital habitats can be upgraded to advanced habitats using a planetary decision. So then I go under decisions. My options are cease robot assembly, declare martial law, declare population controls, distribute luxury goods, initiate performance competition, and expel excess population, none of which seem to me to be related to embiggening the planet. Okay, that's even weirder. So I can't upgrade the capital? I mean, I guess it's a size 6, but... Anyways, not something for me to worry about now because it costs 1,000 alloys anyway, and clearly I'm going to be spending that on other things. Like I said, I still needed 10 Corvettes.
Resource scan complete. Our science ship is under attack.
Oh, god damn it! Real? Nope, that different one. Okay. I actually really hate it when that happens. Okay, that was here. So I am actually going to want to build a replacement. I know I've just got them kind of automated on automated exploration, but I did have a time... I did actually wind up with a shortfall of science ships, so... And I lost count of my Corvettes. So we're at what, 28 of 30, or sorry, 29 of 34. So just 6 more. And I don't think, hey, Irrepressible, good to see you. So I don't know if I was that clear in terms of some of the things I was trying to do here, but basically there's the ticking clock on this is getting this full fleet out to terminal egress, because that's going to be where we start moving system to system. Also, hopefully I'll be able to expand out as far as star bases are concerned, but that's a part 2 concern. So even if we're not fully upgraded in terms of all of our ships, 3. The agreement we signed giving you access to our databanks has run its course. Would you like to extend it for another 10 standard years, or do your researchers no longer require the information we offer? We'd like to extend the deal. Otherwise, we fall apart research-wise. But yeah, so in terms of things that are going to be putting demands on my alloys, so I think we just have one more Corvette we need. I want to be upgrading all of my habitats. I want to be finishing off the defensive turrets in terminal egress. So if we take a look at where it sits now. Okay, we're upgrading to a Citadel, so I suppose that's okay. But like, there's definitely going to be a lot of, particularly with the defense grid, like there's going to be a lot of room for expansion on those defensive structures. And more importantly, we've also learned that it is absolutely nothing to stop the Tempest Shoal from actually going through this L gate. So that's another consideration for later. But for now, we're just going to focus on getting where we need with these guys. So 2 Corvettes, and we needed 2, so I actually think we're good. Yeah. Now, that doesn't mean we're done. I think I'm gonna do a small upgrade myself here. Just because we did get a pretty cool little toy. But what it is going to do is it's going to allow me to start building replacement battleships. So now that I know a little bit more about that world, I can afford to start sending workers that are not necessarily dedicated to mineral extraction. And I gotta be a little careful about this, but I am actually going to invest in the defensive platforms. So yeah, we're at max capacity here. That'll probably go up with the Citadel.
Status cutting edge.
Okay, so this is definitely a milestone that I've been waiting for. So what we're going to do here is we are going to move to this base. Now the other thing I'm going to do that seems a little counterintuitive is I'm actually going to stop the upgrades for both fleets. And this is so I can make sure that we have the absolute latest designs for everything. And we might even end them prematurely once the new fleet arrives. That's a separate consideration. But okay, let's get the youngest.
Technology discovered. Rad.
All right, and we begin the cycle all over again. Advanced rotary autocannons capable of spewing a cloud of high explosive shells at a target. Titans. Oh god, I might actually. Yes, I am going to jump over the limit. The Titan level defense platform is actually a really helpful one. Okay. Slight change of plans. Actually, we'll upgrade these guys as well. That's genuinely the last one, because there's always going to be another upgrade. That's actually one of the reasons why I did the Titans. One, Titans are awesome, but two, like there's got to be a limit in terms of what I build. I think I wanted. Oh no, they've already done it. Okay, cool.
Planetary exploitation forecast complete.
I'm also going to need to come up with something to do with my influence soon. I might actually expand out into all of these worlds, but I'm not 100% sure about it yet. Yes, I am. I'm going to do it. We've pretty much abandoned any hope of getting our empire size under control, so might as well lay claim to what's mine. Might even start some expansion out here, but I'm not quite that confident. I'm mostly just thinking of places that I can build bases in. I'll admit, this is taking longer than I was expecting. But basically here I'm going to start building a replacement fleet. The hope is we're not going to lose too much, but if we do, we'll at least have, some ships ready to go. I'm also hoping that we haven't given
Ships upgraded.
Okay. I'm hoping we haven't given the Grey Tempest enough time to get its act together. Even if we can get another system on the list. Like, if you look, 40k, that's a pretty meaningful little fleet. Like, that is something that, on paper at least, can take on a Tempest Shoal on its own.
Prospect analyzed.
Clearly we're not going to. But it is going to be something that we bully our neighbors with. Again, it's a tomorrow me problem, but
this tech had better generate some revenue.
By advancing our understanding of atmospheric transformation, we will be able to terraform even the most ecologically devastated worlds. Okay. Again, going for the low tech. Looks like there's a whole lot of tech that we've been sitting on here. So, Thrall Worlds. What is this? Disables the construction of city districts and most buildings on the planet. Allows the construction of slave huts. Free pops can no longer grow on the planet. Thrall World modifier added, giving the following effects pop growth speeds. That's nuts. There's actually probably a couple of worlds I can think of that would be really good for that, though. Oh, no! Oh, this is the worst time that could have happened. Actually, that's not entirely true. Our trade route in the Subra system is poorly protected and passes through what has largely become lawless space. An increasing number of pirates, smugglers, and various other criminal elements have been drawn to the system, and they now raid our shipping with near impunity. They must be dealt with. Yeah, so basically, I don't want stuff that's distracting from from taking out the Grey Tempest, but in this particular case, the fleet's nearby, so. I'm actually going to oppose this measure now. Short list of targets has been drawn up. Those operatives who are no longer tasked with surveillance will provide cover for the others. Now, I am a little curious about this other spy that I've got going, because we have given them a while to build their network. That's okay. I guess I've been talking a lot instead of letting time pass. Okay, we'll move you to Zandaban. Let me get those battleships built. Oh, right. Terminal Egress gets its own station name now. Sorry, I kept looking for it in the Starbase list here, but because it has a shipyard, that doesn't count anymore. And I have to make a decision in terms of the remaining paths I want to go down. So we've got adaptability. I don't really need food. The one thing that would be nice would be the extra building slot, but let's see if we can achieve that through other means. So we've got diplomacy. Available envoys is actually very helpful. Expansion, I think the ship has sailed on that. Well, not entirely. I guess the effects on empire size might be kind of helpful. I feel like subterfuge is actually something I'd like to maybe put some effort into. Unyielding, though, I definitely think was one we talked about before. So I think the short list would be subterfuge, unyielding, and diplomacy. Now, unyielding, stronghold buildings now produce 3 unity, so that's good for me. Defensive zeal, star bases, and defense platforms have their hull points and damage increased by 33. Not so worried about the orbital bombardment damage. Bonus starbase capacity. How you doing, Coswalt? I really like that emote. And then Bulwark of Harmony. Now this one's not as important to me because it's when we're in a defensive war, but definitely the bonuses towards my ship, my star bases and such. That's a pretty big one for me. And again, while I would like the extra envoys, I think I can get by without it for now. So we'll start with unyielding and see where it goes. And that's actually not just driven by the fact that we're up against the Grey Tempest right now. That is actually a specific strategy I'm going to be employing as far as keeping my empire safe.
Boom. We built something. Imagine the profit margins on this tech.
These upgraded emitters are equipped with better focusing lenses, resulting in a more powerful energy discharge. Okay, physics. Now we can do better code breaking. So that's going to help us with the locks on Grakva when the time comes. Yes, there's another upgrade, but like I said, enough is enough. We gotta make things happen. We might have already let this ride too long, but we'll see. The plan is we'll kind of get a hit squad to go take these guys out. Then we'll move back, and then sort of we'll move into the next area and so on and so forth. There's actually a small temptation for me to just enable all the combat-focused edicts as well. I think we're running a surplus on most of our commodities. A little extra cash there. Yeah, I'm running a surplus on pretty much everything, so I should also consider some building upgrades when the time comes. Price is starting to come down a little bit, so I'm going to add... I might be able to get by with 4. We'll see what happens at the end of the month. I'm a little uncomfortable with that monthly change, but we're at a stockpile of 46, so... Now, seems to me like I should be building more battleships. So that's the foundation for the next group. There is also, again, at some point I'm going to need to spend get a bunch of alloys towards upgrading my different habitats and such. But let's, again, focus on the Grey Tempest, and then once that's dealt with, we'll sort of consider secondary goals.
Wow, we really hit this tech out of the ballpark.
Through the creation of special slave breeding worlds, we can ensure that we always have a steady supply of disposable laborers. All right. Let's go. The Galactic Stock Exchange would actually be a good one. I don't think I have any space for it anymore, but yeah. I should do gene modification points, but Galactic Markets, because I really like the cash. We're almost self-sufficient on consumer goods. So again, the perpetual upgrade cycle continues.
Resource
battleships
scan complete.
with better guns. But again, with all of these upgrades, we now have fleets that on their own can withstand a single Tempest Joel. Again, on paper, but... should probably take the time and work out the template. Oh! Now that was unexpected. Okay, I'm actually going to just go upgrade crazy on a bunch of worlds before I sell any of those. But first things first, I do want to get the numbers right here. So I believe it was 8 cruisers. Got a few more admirals than I anticipated. Right, sorry, I said I was going to go nuts on distributing workers. Okay, let's get you on Zygar. Alright, so that's the unemployment dealt with. Conan's, how do I set my fleet distribution? Right now, it's a compass. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. So, to be honest with you, I wish I had a slightly more sophisticated system, particularly because the way that I've been working with the Tempest Shoals has been relying on a lot of small ships. So like if you take a look here, this thing is very fearsome on paper, but if you can take out a ship, that number goes down really quickly. And the fact of the matter is that the motherships, they hit like a truck, but if they focused that shot down on a Corvette, that's a ton of attack that went into overkill, and so it's not a very efficient use of its weapons. But with all of that said, I've actually just been going to my default, which is to try and spread the the points as evenly as possible. So basically, I've got 4 battleships, which is about 32 command points. I've got 8 cruisers, again that's 32, 16 destroyers, that's 32, and then the balance is made up with the corvettes, where it's 34. And then what I do with that even split, because most of the time the command limits that you have aren't really going to work. Like the command limits that you have one way, or they tend not to divide into 4 very evenly. So what I'll usually do is if I feel like I need more capital ships, I'm going to make up the balance by shifting to battleships. And then in this case here, admittedly it's only a surplus of 2, so I wouldn't really, like at that point the decision's a destroyer or a corvette. But in this case, because my primary enemy is one that I do better when I outnumber, I'd be putting the balance into corvettes, even if I had enough for another battleship. Another thing that I eventually do is once I start being able to afford Titans, I try to build my fleet so that I can maximize the number of Titans that I have. And then the question becomes again, well, how do I want to allocate those numbers? And in the absence of a better choice, I usually just tend to split the numbers evenly. But I'll be the first to admit that's probably not a good way of doing it. Like, it would be nice if I really sit down and think about my fleet designs and you know, how much power I need for certain things. But the thing is I already spend a lot of time on pause on this game, so I haven't put any more sophisticated thought into it. Okay, but I was going to talk, or not talk, but I was going to think a little bit about how I approached these worlds. So first of all, if we can build more. Okay, right. So, first things first, let's get some industry down. And we will... Oh yeah, we also have been building military academies, so I want a Ministry of Production. I don't know if I want robots, though. Okay, we'll say that those are the essentials. And I think we'll do the same story for Zygar Prime. So I definitely want the mineral purification. Now, here we don't really have much in the way of... Well, here's what I'm going to do. Let's start by getting the military academy down. And then maybe what we do is we just find out what we're still trading for. Oh yeah, so we can completely eliminate this trade now. I think we can also roll back a little bit on food sales. Those weren't bringing in a whole lot anyway. Okay. Oh, sorry. There's one thing I forgot to check. Unyielding. So the galaxy is vast and full of dangers. So adopting it already gave me +2 to my starbase capacity. So the overages I was paying for those starbases aren't there anymore. Okay. So I guess the question is, what do I want to be doing with the rest of my... Like, so when it comes to strategic resources, like, what do I want more of? Let's start with crystals and exotic gases. Exotic gases I'm going to want for my research. I'm not 100% sure on what I'm going to want the crystals for yet, but probably doesn't hurt to start thinking about it. And we'll wind up replacing the gene clinic at some point, but I'm going to leave it alone for now.
Prospect analyzed.
Okay, next up, where's my fleet? Probably the level 4 genius, yeah. So even there's this is the oldest of all the scientists. They've got Spark of Genius, so I definitely want them following up with that. Okay, so where are you? Close. Again, the time we spend is just more time for upgrades, but I don't want to get soft. Okay, where are we at? 2 cruisers, 3 cruisers.
Boom!
I knew I was premature on that.
We built something. Planetary exploitation forecast complete.
I should probably take a minute and look in terminal egress just to see how close we are for the upgrades. Not that close. Like, none of the battleships are where they need to be.
Resource scan complete.
Yeah. We'll let them finish off. They seem to be going reasonably quickly. So as always, just send the surplus to Zandaban where I can. We are gonna, like, we're not gonna be able to do this trick forever, but for now it's working. And honestly, while I'm at it, why not just get another batch of upgrades in? We'll see how long it takes. But looks like we're making decent progress. Okay, now I do want to be mindful of my defenses. That defense grid's going to make the number go up by quite a bit.
Ship status cutting edge.
Sort of feel like the command center's the right call here. Right, Senate's now in session for minor research sanctions. I'm definitely happy on that. Okay, what are we looking at here? My God, how is that possible? I just upgraded them. And elections. Elections are in progress. Select a candidate to support or spend unity to keep our current ruler. Now, I actually think this is one where I'm willing to spend. The experience gain is really good, but in this case, keeping the build cost upkeep and all of that in place, I'm not 100% where I need to be with my fleet numbers. So I am going to do my first little cheat.
This tech had better generate some revenue.
Okay. Oh, right. I need to start. Well, honestly, let's just sell 10,000 and call it a day. Okay. So priority number 1, we need to finish off the defensive platforms and terminal egress before I spend anything else. Okay, no, we're at the cap. Okay, so then we invest in our next fleet, and anything left over is going to go towards upgrading my stations. Okay, so that's 3 cruisers for something that's got... Okay, so we're up to 6 there. Our operatives can access data from adjacent realities without risking setting off alarms in this reality. I guess gateway travel, it's the cheapest. So close. All right. As the operation nears its conclusion, Spymaster Vodaburn has moved to secure our new asset within the Loxongrak-Va Royal States. Our remaining operatives are poised to facilitate any cover he may need. That's the operation. Spymaster Vodaburn reports from the Loxongrak-Va Royal States. A successful execution so far. We've lured an unappreciated member of the Loxongrak-Va citizenry, whose attitude and contacts among the lower rungs of society are sure to aid our operations in various ways. So I want to just get a quick look at what the situation is in the Royal State. So we're up to routine, so this is good. We're definitely going to be kind of back on our feet as far as operations inside the Royal States are concerned. But let's keep acquiring assets until we can get to that 100. So launch the mission. They can upgrade the defense platforms, but maybe let's wait till we build all of them first.
We really pushed the envelope on these ships.
With like half an hour in the scheduled time, we are now ready to make our move. This is partly I just want them to all sort of move in unison. Now we're probably going to lose some ships off of this. So the question is how much I want to put into repairing. Oh, interesting. They're going... I think they're going for the science ship. Okay, so what I want to do here, I actually want the science ship to start focusing on the ones close to hostile territory. Okay, so I'm very curious how they're going to perform here. So, what was the cost? 3 corvettes. That is pretty respectable in my opinion. So I can build those in the well, I could, but I wouldn't get the XP bonus, so I am going to build the replacement corvettes here. And a cruiser for good measure. So maybe a little premature given that the science ship's going to need defenses, but also, if I recall correctly, I had other expansion I was working on in the other part of the galaxy. So let's get you to build first. Get them to close off that last little bit of the galaxy for me. Okay. Part of that is because I'm going to want to start taking over these systems over time. I'm at my max on energy credits. Now that is not something I was expecting to see. We're also losing a ton, and I'm not sure why. Probably because I've mobilized my fleets. Okay, well, we can remove our purchases. Oh, I also probably because I drove the... No. Driving the food price into the floor is not the reason I'm... Huh, okay. I also completely forgot about the slave market. God, there's so many pops that I could just buy and I'd like supercharge my productivity. I think I'll let that grow organically. But yeah, I definitely need to dump the cash. So the problem is like I need to dump the cash into alloys, but the problem is that it's going to make my monthly purchases of alloys like ruinously expensive. So what I'm going to do here, we'll just go nuts. Well, okay, let's just see what that does to the economy. Because, first of all, like, they're going to be unaffordable for a little bit.
Resource scan complete.
I suppose I should actually do something with those resources. Actually, with that in mind, I can actually start upgrading some of the world. So, the first thing I want to upgrade would be the research station. Following that... I guess I can do the unification. So, did I really put... Good lord. At the very least, let's make it a holo theater. Man, I really didn't know what I was doing with this one, did I? Yeah, so for some reason you can't embiggen the capital, but I'll learn to live with disappointment. Yeah, let's upgrade the industrial station. So admittedly I could have put that, you know, into like replacement ships and things like that, but I'd rather sort of start working on some of my other goals. Okay, these guys got to get to the terminal egress as quickly as possible. Now, one of the reasons I'm okay waiting... So like I said before, it's like, you know, I don't want to wait forever. The reason why I'm okay doing this is not just that these guys need to repair, but the science ship actually needs some time to be able to explore the system, and then the construction ship's going to need to get its expansion down. So this is one case where being able to take a little bit of time to reinforce is enough to sort of set me up for the next phase. And then...
Another bleeding edge technology discovered.
Ooh, alright. There's some big changes coming up. Modeled after the hulking shadows looming in the core systems of stagnant ascendancies, the Titan class can be outfitted with X-size weapons. Okay, what is it going to cost us to... Cruiser hull points. Okay, so we need to reconfigure this starbase to be able to handle Titans. Upgrading seems to be the best option here. Question is, am I willing to spend the alloys for it? Well, we're already over budget, so sure. We're making like 1,000 turn because we're not doing trades, so, you know, why worry, right?
Planetary exploitation forecast complete.
Okay, so we're on to the next phase. So we're going to build a starbase here, and in the meantime, we're going to throw caution into the wind and see what happens here. So it's very likely we're going to lose Gribben in the next phase, but it's basically gonna give me some intelligence on like the overall state of the Grey Tempest. All right, that's kind of unfortunate. Am I really not allowed to see what's going on in this system? I've got a ship there. Come on. We should be able to escape. But yeah, we're going to need to take on 2 of these things. It's a little scary, but...
Science ship destroyed! Yeah. That's coming out of the nerd budget.
I honestly don't have a good plan for how to make the science ships more survivable. Like, there isn't really an automated way of sending them into a new... So, like, even though you know there's something hostile there, like, you basically just, to me at least, you have to sacrifice the ships. I wish it were not so, but... You know what? While we're waiting for the ships, why don't we just get those upgrades?
Boom! We built something.
Again, this is just purely so I can say I have it.
Technology acquired.
It's a tough call, right? Like, it's a young genius, and I'm putting them in a ship that they're probably going to die in. Oh, well. That's coming along nicely. Oh. Galactic Stock Exchange. By exchanging in free trade of goods and services, we allow for a more specialized economy where an individual can excel in a narrow field and trade for their needs. So I'll see if I can put that on a world, preferably one with a lot of trade. And either the command limit or the... Oh, nope. Efficiencies of scale. So higher upkeep, but better resources. Definitely happy to get that. Okay, so this is going to be a bit of a tricky call. What's generating the most trade? It's not going to tell me, is it? Oh, why would you do this to me, game? You can see everything but trade in this screen. Okay. So yeah, it's a plus 20% to trade value, so ideally I'd find the highest trade value system. Okay. So, probably Siluria. So part of that 5% is from the clerks. But this world doesn't need robots anymore, so we'll put the Galactic Stock Exchange down there now. Now, I believe that's just limit 1 per planet, not 1 per one per empire. So really, like, these other were actually, yeah, found something to replace the robot manufacturing with. Let's say anything with over 100. I'm going to have a huge deficit of crystals after this, but hopefully with all of the extra money we'll be making, we can just buy them. Oh dear. Station systems malfunction. One of our orbital mining stations appears to have suffered a major systems malfunction. Sector management launched an on-site investigation when the station crew failed to answer scheduled hails. Despite a notable increase in mining output, upon investigation, it became apparent that our station's life support systems underwent a cascade of terminal failures, resulting in the death of all crew members by suffocation. Incredibly, the station's AI has been continuing operations unmanned, based on procedures established by the crew members prior to their untimely demise. With a few minor adjustments, the effectivity of the now automated station could be maintained. So cannot leave the station unmanned, or a tragedy with a silver lining. Let the AI continue running operations unmanned, yeah.
Planetary exploitation forecast complete.
Ruined matter decompressor, and possibly perched on the event horizon of Eye of Hawking, is some kind of amazing apparatus. Our scientists theorize that this may be a matter decompressor, a mega structure designed to mine materials from a black hole. While it is no longer fully functional, some mechanism preventing its spaghettification must still be operational. So where is this?
Resource scan
Nowhere
complete.
near where I am.
Boom.
All right, now we're back to
We
buying
built something.
alloys. You can tell because I'm in a deficit. Yeah, that's gonna sting for a while. I'm actually gonna let it run down because we're flush with cash, but. Okay, I don't really have much I can do with my alloys right now, but I am a little curious about my ships. They're close to upgraded, but my guess is that we're out of alloys, so they're not doing the upgrades.
We really pushed the envelope on these ships.
This might prove costly. Wait, did I miscalculate? I did. All right. I needed one other Corvette. We'll see if I can build it in time. Well, we can build it in time, but whether or not we can ship it out in time is the real question.
Ships upgraded.
We're not going to hold off the invasion force for one Corvette,
Ships
so
upgraded.
it can show up when it's ready, but we are going to move them into the next system. So again, the suspicion is that this is going to be where sort of the mainframe for the Grey Tempest is. Combat control misfire. Regrettably, 2 of our ships have been lost in an accident. Man! I don't remember this one. In an accident during a routine training exercise, it would appear that several of our fleet's onboard combat computers were affected by a high-level targeting systems malfunction, resulting in a burst of friendly fire that totaled 2 vessels before an emergency manual override could be issued. The defective combat computers will be reprogrammed immediately. They took a cruiser off of that? Oh man, this game sucks. What was the other ship, though? I'm assuming this has to be related to the sapient AI. Either way, though, we need to make our move on the Grey Tempest.
Construction complete.
Okay. Is everything settled here? So if I can take on the Grey Tempest one at a time, that's ideal. Looks like I don't get that option, though.
Construction complete.
Ooh, they're splitting up. That's not good. We're gonna lose more ships. Oh, there we go. All right, what did we lose? I'm just going to write this on an IOU. So again, we don't want to run into the same problem that we had before where we made a little bit of progress and then I got overconfident and they wiped us out with attrition. So, Corvette. Oop. So that's 1, 3, 4. One destroyer. One cruiser. A battleship, Jesus. Okay, so those are priorities for rebuilding first. So what we do now is we take our science ship and we survey the system. I think what I'm going to do, we're going to send them back here for repairs. So battleship is definitely the first priority. Close, but not quite where we need to be.
Planetary exploitation forecast complete.
I'm a little worried about the consumer goods situation.
Imagine the profit margins on this tech.
Okay, so I just need the Corvettes and we're good. Cruiser hull points. Advances in building techniques will allow for the construction of sturdier and more durable cruisers. So normally I'd like the impulse thruster, but again, the drawback on this is that I'm going to spend like forever upgrading my fleet. So in this case, we're going to do Durasteel laced alloys because that's going to help me get more ships into the fight. And I think I got to admit that I'm not self-sufficient on consumer goods anymore. Our spotters have begun ingratiating themselves with targets we've marked as potentially useful. Acknowledged. Alright, who died? Hopefully that envoy automatically gets replaced.
Prospect analyzed.
And people hate this one. Minor research sanctions. I'm the only... Oh, man, I thought I was in favor of this.
Prospect analyzed.
I'm actually kind of... Wait a minute. Why isn't the Nar consciousness in favor of this one? They're a member of the Council, for crying out loud. Council denounced Confederation of Zaco. Oh, hell yes. Who's proposing it? The Tecarus link? Oh man, yeah, we're totally gonna start a war over this. It's not actually the entity that I'd like to start the war with.
Construction complete. Imagine the profit margins on this tech.
Gateway travel. The ability to reactivate the derelict gateway stations that can be found scattered throughout the galaxy has the potential to dramatically shorten travel times. So that's a very long-standing one that I'm kind of happy that I have now. Also, we are ready to start building towards Titans. Oh, are you serious? I gotta get the construction ship out of here. So the Grey Tempest is coming with its new ships. So I'm gonna just abandon this. There's no point in trying to hang on to Gribben at this point. I should build an ion cannon here. Maybe even 2. Actually, I guess there's 3. Yeah, 3 is probably the number that I actually want. But we can't buy alloys for the next little while. Making some good money, though. Actually, this is a point where I might want to consider... Sorry, there is one thing I'll spend... I'll buy alloys for. Oh god, do I really want to do this? Yes. It's just so I can get those replacement ships. Okay. It's got to be a Citadel. Crap. I really can't afford to... Okay. We'll wait it out. I definitely want to start adding some Titans. What's my capacity? 3. Okay, yeah, so that's the number of fleets I've got running around as it is. Whatever it is, though, none of the ships I'm building now are going to be in place in time for the...
Can we take them?
It looks like there's only one of these. No, there's 3. Maybe 2?
Resource scan complete.
Either way, we're going to keep an eye on them.
Hostile fleet. Can we take them?
Oh, okay. Well, this one I want to go and intercept right away, because normally the other 2 kind of go sneaking around the side.
Another bleeding-edge technology discovered.
Okay, so let's just take a look at the numbers there. 3 Corvette replacements. Okay, honestly, that's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. And for efficiencies of scale, we move on to gene modification points, I think. So targeted gene expressions. The reason we did that was just to... Yeah, so we knew they were going to be showing up. Let's see if we can get a little time in the...
We built something.
Okay, nope. So we need to go aggressive, because they are absolutely going to be coming after our stuff. Also, they're alone, so fewer casualties than we'd normally suffer. Alright. That cost us quite a bit more. But we're also in a better position to push on. So, let's get that final tally. Honestly, at this point, I can just count it on the fleets. Okay, so priority number 1, let's get everybody at terminal egress. Oh, you know what? Okay. So let's start with a battleship and 5 corvettes. No, battleship? What am I saying? Destroyer and 5 corvettes. Okay, so we'll combine these ones. Oh, they're not... don't need upgrades? Okay. So this one, it would be cruiser, destroyer, and 12 corvettes. So, we need 2 battleships. Okay, so 2 battleships, 3 cruisers, and a destroyer. And then we take all the corvettes that we have, so that's currently 8. I don't want to mess around with these numbers any more than I have to. Okay, so if we've got 8 corvettes on the way, I guess that just means we need, so 2 more brings it up to 24. That's 12. Or 8, as the case may be. Now, the follow-up, of course, is I still want to actually have like a proper replacement fleet. So I also owe them... I'm actually going to take the time to properly work out these numbers now. Wrong one. So I think I said it was 16 for these, and then 34. Well, I screwed up somewhere. Oh, right. I still screwed this up. Oh, that's right, because we're not in a world of 130 fleet caps anymore. I need to get those numbers back up. Okay, that's something I'm going to deal with another time. For now, what's the story with you? Okay, so first of all, we need you in orbit. This is a little expensive even for me, so I'm going to hold off on that for now. Although, I think... Let's take a quick look at what kind of other deals we can make. So if I can secure that at a price that's lower than... Almost certainly not. Yeah, man, what is that? I gotta work out what the price on that is, because that's appalling. That's 11. Okay, but we might be able to cut that number by quite a bit. So if we just wanted 50 from them, which is nowhere near... I don't think that works for me. Yeah, we're paying 13 for that. But we're basically just gonna run this on each of these empires. I just want to see if I can get a cheap deal on some alloys. Okay, so I'd be willing to go for the full 50 if they are. Well, I'm already paying more than 10 though. I'm curious exactly what that deal costs. Yeah, 13.2. So I'm assuming that this is probably being set by the market price. 8's actually not that bad. Still, I think it's to me it's worth it to actually try and see if I can make a better deal, especially if I can secure that wow. That is some very impressive production. To me it is actually worth it to try and make these deals work. Okay, this is interesting. So that's 390 for 60. That's a really good deal. I want to lock that in. Gotta be a little careful that I don't like completely bankrupt the Empire, but okay, so if I pay 1033 for 160, yeah, works for me. Your proposal is being processed. Please wait. They may reject it, so I'm gonna wait. We're not buying alloys anymore? That doesn't make any sense. Okay, I'm gonna let a month go by just to see what that deal's actually bringing. Also, I messed up. Okay, so we're up to 220 a month. I'll buy 500 worth at 10 per unit for now. That's really weird that I lost the alloys. Oh, also, I forgot, we need to buy rare crystals again. Probably, let's say 13's my break off. Okay, so I was trying to think of something else, and I've lost it. But looks like I can do some resettling while I'm at it. Gonna need to figure out what I want to do with these at some point. Okay, yeah, so I guess one determination is when do I send these fleets out to punch the... Oh, hang on, I don't need to because we're going to do some rebuilding. So this construction ship's gonna get my nanites back. I'm actually willing to guess that Gribben is empty.
Prospect analyzed.
Okay, so once that construction ship's done, we'll rebuild the outpost. At this point, I'm just going to keep building corvettes. I don't know how many I need, but it's clear we're going to have a pretty insatiable appetite for them. Also, the science ship. So we lost a genius on the last one. Want them to throw caution into the wind and survey that system. Again, I don't actually think there's anything in that system anymore.
Planetary exploitation forecast complete.
Now, this is a little reckless of me, but I do want to see if there's anything in this system. I'm hoping that we won't start a fight, because I'd prefer to be at full capacity to do that. Okay, yeah, we gotta get out of here. Alright. I may want to hang out in this system for a little bit just to see if they give chase. If they do, they're really slow about it. Okay, I believe that was the sanctions. Yeah. A short list of targets has been drawn up. Those operatives who are no longer tasked with surveillance will provide cover for the others. Okay. Also moving on, I do eventually want to build these ion cannons. They might be a bit of overkill, but it'd be great if I could have a defensive system that... Well, again, the L-gate's so far away from this that I guess I'm still going to need fleets in the area to actually take them out. Okay. So, I think we said... Okay, so it was 8 corvettes. I've already built 8. They needed 20. So 8 are on the way. So that brings it up to 17. So I just need 3 more. And then we're going to save up to upgrade to a Citadel, which I feel a little weird about because I know we're going to need to buy replacements. But I also know, like, if I don't actually take the time to invest in the infrastructure, I'm never going to get it. So I'm going to do my best to try and be patient. Okay. I even want to build a battleship, to be honest, but holding the line. I gotta remember it's the small ships that win me the fights with the bad guys. Did I guess I did.
Prospect analyzed.
Say the yeah, okay. Science ship's on its way. One of the reasons why I want to move my construction ships in to claim this stuff is that the Techerus link is going to take anything that I can't. Ah. Alright. A silent congregation. We have received accounts of unusual behavior exhibited by robotic units on Siluria Prime. At unpredictable intervals, a number of our planet-side robots will cease all assigned functions and begin moving to a seemingly randomly determined location in complete synchronicity, timed down to the millisecond. During these bizarre congregations, the affected robots do not appear to engage in any observable form of communication or data transfer. They just stand there, completely still, staring. Investigation has been unable to determine a reason behind this recent phenomenon. The duration for which the robots remain in this trance-like state before resuming normal functions varies, as does their time of triggering and destination. No logical correlation or causation has been found, and our population is understandably distressed by these eerie gatherings. Unacceptable, have them scrapped.
Technology discovered. Rad!
By replacing antiquated ceramo metal equipment with cutting-edge technology, we can run our forges hotter and longer, increasing production. Alright, I'm actually running over time already, but I want to see if we can at least get it so that we see where the Grey Tempest base is. That's a nice cliffhanger to end on, in my opinion. And we're almost up to capacity on the ships.
Planetary exploitation forecast complete.
Contact lost. Spymaster Vodun reports having lost contact with his operatives on active deployment in the Loxon Grekva Royal States. They've missed a number of their most recent scheduled check-ins. In accordance with standard procedure, we must now decide whether or not to track down our own operatives. Usually I try and find it, even though we do lose influence doing that. Okay, so I'm going to do explore system and then move right back. We'll probably lose the ship, but it's the best automated way I can manage this. And as always, I'm moving the construction ship in just to avoid anybody else nabbing it. Our efforts proved successful. Contact with our operatives has been restored. Spymaster Vodun is already working on how to review the monitoring procedures he has in place for work in the Loxon Grekva Royal States. Okay, we've got enough to upgrade to... Oh, actually, we may not. We're close, at least. Yeah, 94 away, so just need one more.
Imagine the profit margin.
So this is purely so I can start making some Titans. Stricter control of RNA and protein production on the cellular level. I guess I'm going to have to go for the extra command limit or the naval capacity. We'll do Galactic campaigns for starters. Let's just see how we compare to our rivals. So we're at 14. Oh wow, we've eclipsed the Tecarus Link. Alright, I'm totally willing to go to a council size of 2 now. In the meantime, so we're at 18. They're at 1832. I am at 1814. Man, they're always just a hair ahead of me. Of course, we're getting absolutely smoked by the 2 hive minds. Again, this is the sort of stuff I want to keep on my radar before I start. Like any war that I start is basically going to be a war with a like a federation, and so I want to be really careful about sort of when and how I start the fighting. I'm a little reluctant to mess around with the size of the fleets as it currently is, because I suspect I'm going to have to give back a little bit of the structure to be able to fit the Titan in. Automated work processes. Planetary administration on Siluria Prime has reported that an unplanned surplus of robotic workforce units has been located planetside. Though the efficiency of these new robotic workers is exceptional, administration is somewhat baffled by their sudden appearance. It seems the robot serial numbers cannot be traced to any known manufactories on record, though their construction and interfacing does suggest Raxar design. Nonetheless, some of the local populace have expressed concerns over potential job displacement due to the increase in automation. If they cannot be identified, have them scrapped.
Resource scan complete.
Okay, so apparently there's nothing for it to explore. So I'm actually going to send them back to my territory. I'm going to have to figure out exactly how to handle that kind of exploration.
We really hit this tech out of the ballpark.
Again, I'd love to spend the minerals on something, but I think in this case we'll just... Oh! I should have checked the numbers. Alright, this is going to sting, but... A more powerful version of the particle lance, this weapon fires a Tachyon beam of immense power. Like its predecessor, its use is limited to battleships and Titans. But yeah, so I'm assuming that I need to prepare for a robot rebellion, and I'm trying to take the actions that will minimize the impact of it, but I'm not 100% sure how those mechanics
Planetary
work.
exploitation forecast complete.
Okay, so this is going to tell us whether or not we're up against the bad guys. Yep. So this is it. Like this is the thing I want to destroy, but obviously I do not want to be taking these on all at once. And in particular, the factory is going to be a real bear. So the way I think I'm going to handle this is I'm going to poke in, try and take out one, retreat, poke in, try and take one, so on and so forth. We'll see how this turns out. I'm assuming it's dead, yeah. And the real question is going to be whether or not I can get my existing fleet, out of that place before... Well, that's very brave of them. Yeah, so the question is going to be whether or not we can finish off the fight before...
We've got to shake those hostiles!
That's not a huge surprise. So the question is, do they all come piling on me? If they do, we're probably dead. If they don't, we probably win. Okay, so better unity for stronghold buildings or even more hull points and damage. I think I'm going to go down the defensive zeal path because the lower cost of star-based upgrades is a godsend with our alloy restrictions. Constant vigilance is ingrained in the boys' consciousness. So long as our guard does not drop, our enemies will never be able to take us by surprise. Okay, let's see what we're up against here. Yep, they are piling on. If only I could do this to them when they invade me. So in this case, we're gonna take it to the bitter end. I want to see how many of these things we can properly take out. But it'd be nice if we could direct the combat a little bit. Like if we can get it so that these fleets are taken out and then we just come back for the Nanite factory, I'm okay with that. We're so darn close. Take it out! Oh man, we did it. Our forces have succeeded in destroying the main facility of the Grey Tempest. With the neutralization of its subspace transmitter, all existing Tempest nanomachines have been rendered inert. Unable to maintain their cohesion, their ships have dissolved into nothingness. Any planets that were covered by the Tempest's grey goo are now home to enormous swirling dust storms consisting of nothing but disabled nanites. With time and resources, these worlds could possibly be made habitable once more. Yeah, I was definitely getting close to hitting the retreat button, but I wanted to at least make sure that the ships were taken out. So we lost a lot there. Like let's not kid ourselves about how badly damaged I am as a result. But another threat dealt with. Okay. So, first thing we're going to do, we're going to move to terminal egress. Notice, like, everybody's got their ships coming in to steal this from us, right? So, basically, for me, every available ship has to go exploring. In fact, in particular, what I'm going to do... I'm going to make sure that every neighboring system I'm basically going to have a construction ship and a science ship ready to claim every single planet in the immediate area. And of course, we're going to repair and refit everything. So these two actually are going to head back to the capital world. Okay, so in the final battle, we paid. I'm actually just going to write this in long form because this is going to take forever to figure out. Okay, 4 battleships. Sorry, actually I should do the total. I'm just going group by group right now. So 4 cruisers, 15 destroyers, 5. Corvettes. 15. Next group, the Kugel Void Skulkers lost 2 battleships, 1 cruiser, 5 destroyers, and 20 corvettes. Should only be a third group. Yeah, the Void Skulkers lost 1 battleship, 2 cruisers, 13 corvettes, and 4 destroyers. Okay, so that's a grand total of 7 battleships, 7 cruisers, 14 destroyers, and what were we at? 35. Is that 35? 48. That is a huge bill. I should also see, I'm going to take a quick second here to see the command limit for, or the command cost for Titan. Are you kidding me? They don't have a search for Titan. It's a ship type. Pretty sure if I did a search for Juggernaut, it would show up. 8? That's a battleship cost. I'm pretty sure it's 16, but I just like because I'm going to be building a design around it. This is one where I'd like a proper written number. which apparently is not in the wiki. Honestly, part of this is just trying to get better at navigating this thing. You know what? I actually bet if I go to the fleet manager, it'll tell me. Yeah. 16. Yeah. Oh, sorry. You said you can put it in the ship design. So we converged on the same answer, but just as late in seeing it. Yeah, so I mean, like the way it normally works is that you basically just double the previous class. So corvettes are worth 1, destroyers 2, and so on and so forth. So that's why I knew it couldn't be 8. Or if it was 8, then Titans are the most amazing things you can buy ever. But I did just want to make sure about it. Okay, so I am gonna have to give up some space. So we'll start with the... We don't really need the corvettes as much as we used to. So how do I work this? I don't feel great about it, but it'll work. I'm not an idiot. I know. That's why I was talking about Titans before. I know there's a limit to the number of Titans I can build. I don't think they're going to let me build the upgrade until it's actually a citadel. So probably the best thing for me to do is just queue up. It's probably just best for me to queue up all of the other ships that I want. We'll just have to deal with the huge bill for the Titans when it comes up. Biggest thing I wanted to do here was just I'm writing these. Like I'm writing out these costs, but obviously every fleet I just shaved off 4 corvettes and 2. Actually, I should write that down again. So it's 4, 8, 16, 30. Oh, 15 now. So that should be 3 fewer destroyers than last time. And then if I got rid of 4, that would be 12 less. So the actual number that I need now would be 11 destroyers and 36 corvettes. That's still not going to be the bulk of the costs, but at the very least, I get to, I'm not building redundant elements. If I want to get everything back up and running, I think I'm probably just going to cannibalize what I've got in this for this fleet already. So for instance, they're already running 6 cruisers, so I just need to build 1 more. And this is just keeping in mind that I'm going to need to build some Titans pretty soon. So in this case, we need was 7, so I think it's 4 more of these. 1 more cruiser, and then obviously we're not going to build the 11 now, but 10 more destroyers and a ton of corvettes. So effectively, this fleet will cease to exist. We're going to incorporate everything else into this. Please tell me this isn't the one I'm making sit at terminal egress. Good, it's not. But yeah, it's going to be a little hairy as far as the military is concerned. I wonder if I'd lose my council status as a result. Well, yeah, the Techerists definitely eclipse me now. Oh, actually, yeah. These guys also outdo me as well. But I have a very strong ally, so they're still not going to try anything funny. But the overall plan, so I'm obviously well well into the time I had planned. Sorry, as the operation nears its conclusion, Spymaster Vodaburn has moved to secure our new asset within the Loxon Grekval Royal States. Our remaining operatives are poised to facilitate any cover he may need. Alright. Asset acquired. Spymaster Vodaburn reports from the Loxon Grekval Royal States. A successful execution so far. We have secured access to an official within the Loxon Grekvan civic hierarchy. This asset will be kept secure but poised, ready to assist us with future operations, particularly when we might brush up against diplomatic or governmental issues. Alright, now this was a big one for us because this will help us out with our asset acquisition. We still want to get probably 2 more of those. Okay, payments are done. I think I'll just let the race to seize the rest of the L gate. I think I'm just going to leave that for the next stream. But I definitely want to keep an eye on... So, like, what I'm looking at here, right, with the Tecarus link, the fact that they're moving to Gribben, that's good and important news for me, right? So when I move my science ships around, what I want to do is I want to make sure that I've already got Nordo, Ripplegower, and Hikiam already claimed, because those are... Okay, well, this one I'm already... Okay, so the ones that I'm moving on first, Hikiam, Camthrin? Sorry, it's a little hard for me to read. These ones I want to claim because they are next door to terminal egress. The next ones that I want, because it's taking a look at Gribben, I already own Gribben, but what I want to do is take the surrounding systems next to Gribben. Essentially, I want to make sure that I already own whatever is next to what their science ship is looking at. And if it looks like there's a construction ship in the area, I am actually willing to close the borders. I'd prefer not to, because we're on friendly terms with them. But if it looks like they're about to, sort of get a toehold in this area, I want to make sure that I'm ready to clobber them. As for the rest, I'm going to have to do a little bit of cleaning up on the borders. One of the biggest reasons why I've been wanting to take the Loxon Grekval Royal States is that it finally lets me get rid of this defensive position, which is never really that secure anyway, because they've got the Stellarite Devourer, which both of us are perfectly capable of killing. In fact, that might be the approach that I take when I try to claim them. Instead of, fighting a Strength 29 hardpoint, I just go through the Stellarite Devourer and, head in. Although I suppose I should get used to fighting strong defenses. But what we'll probably have to do is we'll probably have to put a... Oh! I didn't notice there was a rebellion going on. Interesting. I would have declared their independence if they'd accept it. Anyways, I'm probably going to have to humiliate them and then hope that the gap in our strength stays long enough over the 10 years to be able to finally subjugate them. But if I can, again, that gives me a space, like a port that I can move over. I do still want to harden the wormholes, so this one's covered. This one's sort of covered. This is the entryway into the Empire, so that makes sense to defend. I'm kind of operating on the assumption we're going to remain on friendly terms with our allies, so I don't need to worry so much about this one. But I guess we never really did work out where the choke point was for here, so I suppose I'd probably move up to something like Dorelion. It's like tempting to go up to Voldax, particularly with the wormhole, but the drawback is there's so many other entry points. Although I guess I could like move all the way out to like Rodan, but then I suffer the massive penalties from having such a large empire. So I will leave that for a future consideration. Also, I didn't realize I had an Alpine world that I could claim. I'll deal with that in the future. But yeah, if somebody gets any smart idea, so like the thing is that personally I'm really hoping that somebody doesn't try to invade, because if they do, I'm screwed. In practice, I'm probably going to be the one to start the fight. Clearly, we will do that not only after we upgrade all of our ships, rebuild and refit all of our ships, but once we get some Titans in as well. I'm suspecting this probably doesn't have any ion cannons. It probably won't tell me. Ah, it does. Damn it. Well, I guess we still got to deal with it. But yeah, at this point, at the very least, I need to weaken these guys. But ideally, this will be the setup for a future invasion. And then I suppose if I'm looking to like really start some trouble, this is a very weak federation that I'm next door to. On the other hand, there's other things that can happen. So, for instance, we do now see that there are marauders on the map. We found them very, very late. But I do need to allow for the possibility that there's going to be other stuff that I need to contend with. Oh, damn. I didn't realize that this was a... Huh. Yeah, I'm definitely going to need to strengthen everything before I consider trying any funny business with the Loxungrakva. They could actually do some damage. I suspect I'm probably being overly cautious, but the other possibility too is, again, I don't exactly want to start the war, but so if it humiliate, so the Nar are definitely on side with starting something. It's possible we might be able to do something to bring the Techaris in on this as well. Subjugation, I don't know if I want an ally for that, but we're I don't know, we're in a good spot. The one thing I'm happy we were able to do was to capture the terminal egress. Again, as far as a practical benefit, it's kind of hard to say something with the L gate so far away from the defensive station is the most helpful to own. But I've got it, and it gives me access to everyone else. So we can, well, as long as I get my fleets back in order, we can sort of take our pick of where we want to go next. We'll definitely get the number up here. I think we might even be able to make a push on the Nar consciousness. The only thing that's a shame is we don't get any credit for killing the Grey Tempest. Then again, we did unleash it on the galaxy. But one way or the other, I've overstayed my welcome. Thank you everybody for watching. For those of you who are just here for Stellaris, as always, that's a Monday game. I usually try to start somewhere between 7 and 8 Eastern time, and I go for about 3 hours, so usually I'd say 7 to 10, but the fact of the matter is that I'm approaching 4 hours of streaming, and that's not uncommon for me to have done that. And on top of that, with an 8 o'clock start time, that does mean sometimes I'm going to midnight and even past that, but it has been busy at work. I do want to try and finish off a few projects before the end of fiscal, and I am quickly approaching the point where I'm not going to get a proper night's sleep if I keep going. But I would appreciate it if you hang around, because I will at least try to find somebody to host. And for those of you who just like the sound of my voice, no VODs on Tuesdays for the foreseeable future. We talked about that at the start. But on Wednesday we'll be back with probably Phantom Brigade. But I did do Industries of Titan last week. That's by Brace Yourself Games, and then we are coming in close to the ending of The Darkest Dungeon, but I'm not 100% sure if we'll seal the deal on Friday, but we'll try. So I'm just taking a look to see who's online. I don't know a lot of these people. Okay, I honestly don't know how long Ponce is going to be streaming, but he is currently playing Elden Ring, and he's just a nice, calm fellow. I like watching his stuff. He's very friendly. So I will leave you in his capable hands. Thank everybody for hanging out and putting out with my long rants. For next week's Stellaris, probably I'm going to try and start a fight with the with my long-standing rival, but we'll see whether or not I have the naval capacity for that. Until then, though, have a lovely evening, and we'll see you in the next one.